morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the second annual forum of the 6 sponsored professional chapters of the College of Banking and Financial Studies. Well, I'm Afrah Al-Ghafri from ACFE Oman chapter and your host for today. ICAI Oman chapter is heading the initiative for this year as the lead chapter. Our theme is Sustainable Finance and Green Banking, Echoes of Future, Forward Vision for a Greener, More Responsible Financial Ecosystem. Confucius once said, "The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away a small stones." Today, we discuss those small yet powerful steps in finance. I now request everyone to please raise for the national anthem of Sultanate of Oman. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Ahmed Al-Abdali, Assistant Dean for Training and Continuing Education, to deliver the welcome address.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم والصلاة والسلام على الرسول الأعظم صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Zahran bin Salim Salti, Dean of the College of Banking and Financial Studies, Distinguished Keynote Speaker, Chartered Accountant Charanjot Singh Nanda, President of the ICAI, esteemed members of the College Advisory Committee, Honorable Presidents, Chairpersons, and committee members of our sponsored professional chapters, distinguished speakers and delegates, valued faculty and students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very warm and cordial good morning to each one of you. It is with immense pleasure that I extend heartfelt welcome to all of you at this second annual forum organized by the College of Banking and Financial Studies in collaboration with our 6 esteemed sponsored professional chapters, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI, which is taking the lead in organizing this year's version of the forum, the Information Systems Audit and Control Association, ISACA, the Institute of Internal Auditors, IIA, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, ACFE, the Chartered Financial Analyst, CFA, and last but not least, the Association Converged International Financial Markets Association, ACI FMA. The generous sponsorship we receive is a vital catalyst for fostering industry and community engagement, both of which are central to our strategic vision. Today we gather to delve into a topic of utmost significance: sustainable finance and green banking. This theme not only addresses the pressing challenges of our time, but also holds the key to ensuring a prosperous future for generations to come. At the College of Banking and Financial Studies, we have constantly championed excellence, innovation, and responsible leadership within the banking and financial sector. This event stands as a testament to our unwavering commitment to these ideals, as we bring together prominent industry leaders, esteemed academics, and dedicated professionals to engage in meaningful dialogue and exchange of knowledge. The challenges posed by the climate crisis and the imperative environmental sustainability are not mere abstract concerns. They are urgent realities that demand our collective action and innovative solutions. By focusing on sustainable finance and green banking, we aspire to inspire new paradigms where financial growth harmonizes with environmental stewardship and societal well-being. I extend my deepest appreciation to the ICAI Oman chapter for leading this year's version of the forum. Also, our gratitude goes to all the other 5 chapters who are our partners for the event, sponsors, and distinguished speakers for their invaluable contributions that make this event possible. Additionally, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to all participants who have taken the time to join us today in this vital discourse. Let us seize this opportunity to learn, share ideas, and forge pathways toward a more sustainable and resilient financial future. Together we can catalyze meaningful change, transforming challenges into opportunities for innovation and growth. Once again, I warmly welcome you to the College of Banking and Financial Studies Annual Forum. I eagerly anticipate engaging discussions and fruitful collaborations throughout the course of this event. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed, for your warm welcome address. It is our honor to have Dr. Zahran Salti, the Dean of CBFS, as the chief guest. Let us take a moment to watch a brief introductory video highlighting his remarkable journey. May I now invite the CA Nanda to kindly deliver the keynote address.
In the name of God Almighty, the most benevolent, I extend my salutations to all the inhabitants of Sultanate of Oman. A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am truly honored to be amongst you as the keynote speaker for today's session. The chief guest of today's program, Dr. Zahran Salti, Dean, CBFS College of Banking and Financial Services. My friend, Shri Iqbal Ali Khamis Al-Awati, former Senior Vice President and CNO, Central Bank of India. CBFS Board Chairman, Dr. Ahmed Ali Abdali, the Assistant Dean, Training and Continuous Education. I can see here my Honorable 2 past Presidents, Shri K. Raghu, Shri Manoj Fadnis, the Chairman of the ICAI chapter, Shri Gaurav Kapoor. I also acknowledge the contributions of the chapters, 5 other chapters, ISACA, IIA Oman, ACFE, CFA, and ACI FMA. And ladies and gentlemen who have come here today morning to go home more enlightened. The topic of sustainability and sustainable finance is so profound that it will not take ages to evolve into it. We started first of all with environment-friendly investing. Now we have changed the entire contour. It has gone deeply into how you can use finance to change the entire ecosystem of the universe. Times were there when financial reporting was the greatest asset for accountants. Today things have changed. Non-financing reporting, particularly when it goes to listing on the major stock exchanges, has become a great impetus. The valuations which are given internationally are based largely on your non-financial reporting, on your ESG reporting, on your sustainable finance initiatives. You think about carbon credits. You think about climate changes, how green finance ultimately could create an environment whereby the world prospers in the right shape. There are so many benefits. The greatest benefit of green finance is environmental protection. Ladies and gentlemen, you are aware that the environment is now draining to its largest level of destruction. So many hazardous industries, pollution. I was just speaking to the dean and I said in the morning today when I got up at 5:30, when I opened my curtain, I was so happy to see the end of Oman. Zero pollution. I compliment the entire administration of Sultanate of Oman for having such clean and clear environment. We all have to understand that finance is important. We have to scale newer heights. But the ecosystem shall only exist. The universe shall only exist when we have greener initiatives. Now they have come with a second step to balance things. For example, if I run a polluting industry, I have to buy carbon credits to ensure that the pollution level is kept at the minimal. So environment protection is the first facet which defines why green environment is important. The second, economic growth. When it comes to economic growth, see how economy is growing. And with the advent of technology, artificial intelligence, blockchains, Internet of Things, data analytics, certain new things have added. But with that has come the greatest threat of the day, which is financial frauds, white-collar frauds. Green finance has to ensure that everything is done in the ambit of clean finance, free of all such frauds. Some 20 days back, I was with the SEBI chairman. SEBI is equivalent to Securities Exchange Commission. The chairman said that, Mr. Nanda, ICAI, I am the chairman of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, which was set up an Act of Parliament way back on 1st July 1949. Today, we are the largest accounting body of the world with over 5 lakh members and 11 lakh students, the largest congregation of members who contribute not only to nation building, but to universe building. So the SEBI chairman told me, he said, Mr. Nanda, you have been working very nice on forensics, because we bought first time in the world 23 forensic standards. We formulated them. In case you have a financial fraud, you can simply go through the entire process outline and you can come to the last stage where conviction can be done. So he said, I don't want postmortems. He said, we want an era where you can make early warning signs for scams that could step in. So very, very important, it is economic development. Economic development comes when there is no threat of frauds, risk management. The risk of environment is the greatest risk which we carry. And all IIA people are here, all internal audit professionals will agree that when it comes to reporting, the most important facet is risk due to environment. So green finance will ensure that there is no risk due to the environment. Long-term savings. When everything is environment friendly, the savings go for a longer term. There are no hazards. There are no such risks which come from anywhere due to the occupational hazards of pollution or bad weathers. Improved public health. Public health is something which is very important. They say a healthy mind stays in a healthy body. So the most important thing which I want to put forward to you is that environmental friendly finance, sustainable finance will ensure that the public health is taken care of at the largest parlance. Enhanced reputation. Yes, industries which have been environment friendly today are enjoying the greatest valuation on the bourses. They have the biggest asset, which is their contribution to the environment. You go ahead to addressing climate risk. You see how many, at grave rate, the climate risks are now endangering the species of human origin. We have to always address that, and that is only possible by green finance, and then supporting sustainability initiatives or sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just diverge from my topic for a minute. India and Oman had a long-drawn friendship. I was just speaking to Shri Lawati, and we discussed how, when we take Islamic banking, he very rightly said that we should have an Islamic ecosystem whereby you can bring the international best practices and create an era where all come inside, not only with money, but with thoughts on environment. You speak of ESG, you speak about sustainability, you speak about movements into the entire world targeting green finance or carbon credits. Everything starts from one thing, which is sustainability, which is acceptable, sustainability, which is affordable. So as the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I extend my full cooperation. Mr. Dean, we are with you. Any research you want, we have got a good research wing at various places situated in India. If you want any research on any topic related to finance, to investment, to systematic development, system again has become great. How to strengthen the system, how to take care of cyber attacks, how to take care of information system audits. They all have become very important, and we have to understand a long-drawn saying which says, difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations. If you want beautiful destinations, the initial has to be very, very strong. And there is a couplet in Urdu, I know most of you not understand. The couplet says, Jawani mein basaya bacha, Jawani mein zari kiya pasina, budhape mein ashko ko rokta hai. I will give the English version which says that when you work hard when you are young, you don't need to cry when you are old. As a nation, as an economy, we have to think on similar lines. I am very much impressed by the vision that Dean carries, that he chose such a topic which is very pertinent to contemporary times. Yes, our initiatives to green finance. When I took over as the President of the Institute on 12th February 2025, I announced a committee on impact financing. We are working on it. Very importantly, impact on environment, impact on green finance, impact on creating values which the further generations should relish. Not speaking much, I'm very much thankful to the Dean and the college for inviting me. I'm very much thankful to all of you for coming so early in the morning. I was very happy to know when I came, Gaurav told me, he picked me up from the hotel. He said after 8:30, everything will be fine because offices start at 8 o'clock. The best thing which you can do, this is also something which is environment friendly, to live with the wishes of Allah, to get up early in the morning, to lie down early in the evening. So all these things ultimately will usher an era where we will witness an environment which is environment friendly, will usher a planet which will give us the right to live, right to have a healthy life. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nanda. May I now request Chief Guest, Dr. Zahran Salti, to kindly unveil the souvenir of the second annual forum on sustainable finance and green banking. This souvenir captures the essence of our collective efforts and the shared vision toward a more sustainable finance future. Thank you, Dr. Zahran and Nanda again. So we now begin our first panel discussion titled Innovating for Impact, the intersection of technology, finance, and sustainability. I will now introduce our dynamic panelist and the moderator. So for today, our moderator gonna be Ms. Suad Al-Belushi, Assistant General Manager and Head Treasury and Financial Institutions from Oman Housing Bank, and the President ACI FMA Oman Chapter. The panelist, Mr. Khalid Al-Aisari, the CEO of Al-Anwar Investments and the Vice President CFA Oman Chapter, CA Rajiv Anand. So he will attend through Zoom call, and he is a Deputy Managing Director, Axis Bank. from India, C.A. Giridhar, the CFO from National Bank of Oman, and C.A. Manoj, the past president of ICAI. Ms. Suad, the floor is yours. Well, before the panel discussion starts, we'll introduce like a short video about the speakers and the moderator. Thank you.
Suad Al-Balushi is the Assistant General Manager and Head of Treasury and Financial Institutions at Oman Housing Bank. With over 19 years of experience in the banking sector, she is the first Omani to earn the ACI certificate and is also a certified financial risk manager from the Global Association of Risk Professionals. She holds a Master of Business Administration and a bachelor's degree in finance from Sultan Qaboos University. Her academic achievements are further enriched by executive education from INSEAD, Duke University, and Harvard Business School. Suad has held senior leadership positions at Bank Nizwa and Bank Muscat, leading functions in global markets, asset liability management, and institutional sales. She has received several accolades, including the NTI BizPro Award and the Womani 20 honors. She also serves on key industry panels and is a founding member of the ACIFMA Oman chapter. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking. Khalid Abdullah Al-Aisri is the CEO of Al Anwar Investments SAOG with over 18 years of experience in investment management and corporate advisory. Prior to this, he was acting senior manager at the Oman Investment Authority. A chartered financial analyst, Khalid holds a bachelor's in finance from Sultan Qaboos University. He serves on the boards of National Biscuit Industries, National Detergent Co., Voltam Energy, and Al Ruwad International for Education Services. He has previously held directorships at Arak Ceramics, Al Huzan Investment, Oman Growth Fund, Uber Capital, United Finance, Oman and Emirates Investment, Gulf Mushroom Production, and Oman Chlorine. His extensive career highlights his expertise in financial strategy and corporate governance across various sectors. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking. CA Rajiv Anand is the Deputy Managing Director of Axis Bank, where he leads the wholesale banking business and drives the bank's digital transformation. With more than 35 years of experience in the financial services industry, he is widely recognized for his expertise in capital markets and banking. Rajiv joined the Axis Group in 2009 as the founding Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Axis Asset Management. In 2013, he transitioned to head the retail banking division and was appointed to the board of Axis Bank in 2016. In addition to his corporate roles, Rajiv is actively involved in industry leadership. He serves on the National Committee on Banking at the Confederation of Indian Industry and is the Senior Vice President of the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He holds a bachelor's degree in commerce and is a chartered accountant. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking. Giridhar S. Varadachari, appointed as Chief Financial Officer of the National Bank of Oman in January 2021, brings over 30 years of extensive experience in the financial services sector. His career spans leadership roles across Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and the UK. Giri began his professional journey with Ernst & Young in Bahrain before joining Standard Chartered Bank, where he served for 2 decades in senior finance and operations roles, including 6 years as Director Finance at PT Bank Permata, Indonesia. Prior to joining NBO, he was with HSBC for 5.5 years, most recently as Group Head of Finance Operations, overseeing a significant portion of the bank's global finance function. Giri holds a bachelor's degree in commerce from Madras University and an MBA from Henley Management College, UK. He is also a chartered accountant and a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. His global experience and financial leadership continue to drive strategic transformation at NBO. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking. Chartered Accountant Fadnes is a distinguished professional and past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and the Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants. He has held key positions including non-executive director of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India and member of India's Company Law Committee. In 2025, he was appointed by the Supreme Court of India to an ad hoc committee overseeing an educational institution. He brings deep expertise in corporate law, taxation and financial governance. He has served on the boards of Federal Bank, State Bank of Indore and the Madhya Pradesh Stock Exchange and was a member of the Small and Medium Practitioners Committee of the International Federation of Accountants. A seasoned speaker, he has delivered more than 1,000 technical presentations across the globe. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking.
Well, ICAI Managing Committee members are going to welcome each speaker and the moderator with GIY, which is Grow It Yourself kit from ICAI.
It's a good sign of sustainability. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Saad, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
First of all, Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and good morning.
Wa alaikum salam.
I would like to thank CBFS for hosting this event and also ACI, ACAI chapter for organizing it. And I'm very happy to be among esteemed panelists, well experienced, to look forward what they will be adding, inshallah, to all of you. So just before we start, I know Mr. Anand just mentioned that in the morning when he wake up, he's seen a very clear, clear environment. But one thing which we are experiencing all is that every morning, whoever goes to their car, first thing they turn up their AC, just to avoid the heat. And every year we are seeing that the heat or the temperature is actually increasing year by year. So this is something we don't say it's just a global thing, it's something we all are experiencing, and it's our own responsibility to be part of it and to have these impactful results for our upcoming generations. So as finance professionals, as Dr. Ahmed Al-Abdali also mentioned, now finance no longer work in isolation. So we are part of the community, and with all these challenges, given the climate change, given the limited resources, and even changing in customer needs is impacting overall society. And finance professionals, investment professionals play a big role in achieving sustainable results throughout. So without further ado, I would like to just ask all our panelists. So we know that the increasing impact on ESG. What are the specific opportunity do you see coming up in both finance and investment banking with the intersection of technology, finance, and sustainability for both Omani and, of course, regional businesses to have this long-term impact? If we can start with Grader, with you.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Am I audible at the end? Audible at the end? Okay. So I think clearly, do you want me to go through Omani context? We're going to come to that later.
You can feel free to start with the Omani context, and then we'll start with the regional.
We are aware of for people living in Oman, we are aware of the Oman 2040 vision, number one. Number two is a commitment for net zero by 2050. So we've got clear plans to achieve by 2030, 2040, and 2050. We might think 2030 is very far away, actually. How many of you agree with me that it looked like we just started the year and today is May 20th?
Time flies.
Right? So we think 2030 is far away. We'll wake up sometime. It doesn't work. The first thing whenever we speak about ESG is the common misconceptions that we have. ESG we think is somebody else's problem. Right? My moderator talked about, getting up in the morning, turning on the AC. The CA president of the institute talked about whose responsibility it is. It is the responsibility of each of us in this room of being responsible citizens, whether it be recycling. When this topic came and I shared with my management team that I'm going to be a panelist, they said, this is your favorite topic. Yes, it is my favorite topic simply because I do not like this plastic bottle. Okay. The number of plastic bottles that each of us consume is significant. In my organization, we used to order 80,000 bottles per month for only one building. Okay, the first thing we said was we'll stop this. Likewise, every single aspect, whether like Suad mentioned, whether it be turning out the air conditioning or otherwise. Okay, so that's the first point. But more specifically to the opportunities that this topic presents, it's phenomenal. One, firstly, we need to clear this look at it as an opportunity. Today, I'm a CFO. One of my primary objectives is delivering shareholder value. It's not the only objective, but it is a primary responsibility. So I look at things from, is it going to increase my cost? When we look at ESG, what do we say? That's a cost burden. No, we need to change gears to look at this as an opportunity, first thing. And therefore, what are the opportunities then? Plenty. The first thing is, obviously the first thing you expect me to talk about is transition financing, right? There are opportunities for the financial institutions to play a big part. I work for a bank. So big part in sustainable finance instruments, whether it be green bonds, whether it be social impact bonds, etc. Second is clean technology and innovation. This topic is coming up. It is getting more airtime in people about batteries, rechargeable batteries with higher storage, okay, and reason. The third thing is circular economic models. What do I mean by that? That deals with recycling, whether it be recycling waste and using it properly. Some of you in Oman may be aware of farming that's happening. There are sustainable practices that are being introduced in Oman in farming. We are big in the agricultural space, and slowly but surely sustainable farming methods are being used, and we participate in some of these as well. The last thing I would say in this particular topic is ESG data and analytics. See, I believe that to manage something, you've got to measure something, right? Unless you measure it, you can't manage it. Yes. So that aspect comes into play. Nowadays, the tools for measuring are significant, particularly with AI in board, right? Every conversation around the world is being listened to by many people. So I think that's the key pieces from my perspective.
Excellent, Grader. I think we'll go to the broader aspect of these opportunities. If Manoj can highlight something on that.
Thank you, and Assalamu alaikum. I'm deeply honored and feel privileged to be part of this panel. As my president mentioned, a beautiful morning in Muscat with clean sky is something which is so good to see. It speaks a lot about the good environment which is here, and that is what is being aspired for all places. Just taking up circular management which you referred to. I come in from India, from a city which for last 8 years has been acknowledged as the cleanest city in the country. And that has happened not overnight. Not many years ago, it was I mean, like any other city in the country, not so clean. But with public participation, it turned around. And the waste management system has developed into such a phenomenal opportunity. It is being used to create the alternate sources of energy, and it has become sort of a go-to-see a place in the city. So I can say very confidently, and from my personal experiences, there are phenomenal opportunities globally and at all places. Okay. India, we have been seeing a lot of things happening with respect to ESG reporting. So for the listed companies, the Securities Exchange Board of India, which is the regulator, which has brought in a reporting framework for listed companies, top 1,000 listed companies by market capitalization, started a few years back. The Institute of Chartered Accountant continues to play a very significant role in terms of bringing out the social audit standards and norms for looking at these things and issuing an assurance opinion. From last year, it has become compulsory for the top 250 companies to issue, to get a reasonable assurance on the ESG framework. And from the current year, we have April to March, so from the current financial year 2025-26, there is a partner, so your upstream, downstream, suppliers, customers, how they are engaged in the ESG is being reported upon. Now, as Mr. Giri mentioned, that data would be very important for this. So what is really, it starts with collection of data, the reliability of data, measuring that data, and then presenting that data in a faithful manner and to reflect the underlying situation. So these are challenges and these are the opportunities, and I see these opportunities coming up globally. There are data tools which are being developed, different types of AI tools which are being developed, and which is leading to building up a robust framework which we can aspire for, so that ESG becomes not just a norm for reporting, but as I fully agree with my panelist when he said that it is a collective responsibility of everyone in this hall and everywhere in the country and globally. Because unless each one of us participates that into this kind of a environment, the reporting would ultimately remain only on a piece of paper. What is important is to achieve the sustainable goals for the growth of the corporate, sustainable growth for the goals for the growth of the economy and the country.
Interesting, Manoj. The points which you highlighted, I think we'll come back on a few points on the Indian example. Khalid, would you like to add anything?
Yes, absolutely, and thank you, Saad, for inviting me, and thank you for CBF to invite me here for this very important conference. I'll speak about the opportunities in Oman specifically, as this is where I have the most information at this point in time. I think there's a huge opportunity, and this is an opportunity that we're not seeing 5 years down the road. We're seeing it right now when it comes to sustainability specifically. If I look at just renewable energy, Oman has already installed over 1.3 gigawatts of solar energy. In 2025 and 2026, we will introduce another 1.8 gigawatt of both solar and wind energy. And by 2030, you will have over 3 gigawatts worth of installed capacity. And that is, we're talking about billions of riyals worth of investment. And this is just in one particular area. If I look at the polysilicon factory that's coming up in Sohar, with an investment of over $1 billion just for that factory, and there's a plan to establish a solar farm just to feed electricity into that polysilicon factory. There is many other projects which are currently in various development stages. So we're talking about a very large amount of investment that is coming into Oman, and that brings up a lot of opportunity for us as investors here in Oman, whether to go in and partner in those projects or to be a supporter in various aspects associated with that. And this is just in power. And now if we start to look at other sectors as well, water will come down the road. We're looking at, for example, battery technology. I was in Taiwan about 2 weeks ago, and we looked at battery management solutions because we see that as a huge opportunity here in Oman. As renewable energy comes in, there will be a need to install large capacity batteries in various parts of the country. So as an investor, we're trying to be proactive. We want to be able to bring those solutions to Oman while we know that this is something that they're going to be demand for in the future. If I look at electric cars are coming. 5 years ago, most people, I would say that electric cars wouldn't work here in Oman, but now I drive around the road, I see a lot of electric cars, and I started also thinking maybe I should get an electric car. I don't think I'm the only one, and that's because of, like you rightly said, technology has come in where it becomes feasible. That is why we're seeing all of these projects in solar, we're seeing those projects in wind. That's why people are buying electric cars, it's because it is feasible. It is something that also people aspire to because it's sustainable. And there's certainly a push by the government in terms of supporting those projects from a financial point of view as well. So all of those things have come together in allowing this perfect ecosystem for us to not just think sustainability, but actually make it a reality as well.
Totally agree, Khalid. I think the integration is very important in terms of working together with the technology and finance along with the ESG. I think we'll not miss Rajiv. Rajiv, would you like to add anything?
Firstly, thank you for having me on this panel, and do accept my apologies for not being there in person. Very, very impressive panel, and a lot has already been covered. So I'll use the Indian context, to take this conversation forward. Obviously, the government has committed to, has shown its commitment through the Prime Minister to sustainability. And our commitment to improving the environment over the next really 50 years. But as a large organization, we have our own commitments to be able to support that, but more importantly, do what is important for India rather than what is important for Berlin or Washington. And in that sense, what we are committed to as a bank is to increase our green financing by $4 billion every 5 years. We did that over the last 5 years. We completed that actually in 3 years' time. And we've again committed another $4 billion over the next 5 years. This is a public commitment. We use external entities to be able to validate this, because I think the point that was made by one of the panelists, the taxonomy around this is still evolving, and so therefore we don't want to be in a situation, given a large listed entity that we are, of being accused of green financing. We've also committed internally to our board to reduce dirty sectors, things like thermal, asbestos and such like, to reduce that as a percentage of our overall portfolio. Remember that what we said is that the total percentage of dirty sector will reduce in our portfolio, which means that we will continue to lend to thermal, for example, but from an overall perspective, we will reduce that. We also, one of the things that we do is to, for particularly loans over a certain number, we actually do our own due diligence on our corporate customers. And I'm delighted to actually mention to all of you that we do business with pretty much everybody in India, and we have never had a situation where we have actually turned down a proposal because of environmental issues. The point I'm making is, I think the commitment to sustainability is well understood by corporate India, and I think that is something that is evolving and continues to evolve, and we work very closely around transition and transition financing with our corporates. I think that really the challenge comes, and one of the panelists also mentioned the cost. I think Giridhar mentioned the cost of compliance, so to speak. I don't think that's that much of an issue as you think about the very large corporates. But as you go into the smaller and smaller SMEs, for example, their ability to create a separate team to be able to manage and monitor this is certainly a challenge. But I think we are also seeing pressure there, especially entities which are exporting to the Western world are seeing pressure from their buyers, their own suppliers, and so on and so forth. And I think they will begin to evolve into this new world as we go forward. I think there's been a lot of focus on environment over the last 10 to 15 years, particularly in India. But I think the S and G The governance aspects, I think, have evolved thanks to a lot of the work that my institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has done to ensure that the quality of reporting and accounting is world class. And I think from a sustainability perspective, banks like us, for the last 50 years, we've had a requirement of what is called priority sector lending, which is where a certain percentage of our overall lending needs to go to small and marginal farmers, to agriculture and such like. And therefore, we are committed to sustainability and now to the environment. And I think the question that you asked as well was, is it throwing up new opportunities? Absolutely. And I think many of the panelists spoke about that. I mean, in terms of EV, in terms of there is a great demand for solar in India, whether it is from an EPC perspective, whether people manufacturing solar panels, etc., etc. So I do believe that there is a certain door which is closing, but there are a large number of doors that are opening from a business perspective, and it will create jobs and opportunities for financiers like us.
Thank you very much, Rajiv. I think you touched upon multiple aspects. That's true. I agree with you that mostly our focus is on the E part of ESG. You know, the S and G are coming, the social and governance part are part of the sustainability. But we always see that people are talking about the environment-friendly initiatives, but sometimes these S and G are neglected. So I think that's a very important point you've touched upon. So we'll stay with the Indian region. Manoj, you've mentioned that there is, new reporting standards for the top listed companies in the Indian market. Can you just shed the light on the main key metrics which these rules are following and which are broadly aligned, and how it's aligned with the global standards?
Yeah, just to take forward what Rajiv also mentioned, and rightly he referred to the priority sector lending, which is one of the very quite an old initiative of the central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, in terms of ensuring that the banks put in certain amount of money related to their total advances to communities which are economically backward, to socially backward, and to other disadvantaged people. So these are some of the aspects which have been always inbuilt in terms of the ESG initiatives which have been there, which have been put forward by the regulators in India. Now, given the kind of reporting which is there currently, the business reporting and sustainability reporting which is being mandated by the Securities Exchange Board of India, and which, as I mentioned earlier, is becoming, started with a limited number of companies which are which have higher amount of resources at their command, so they can implement these things, and not the smaller entities to begin with. And that is also how the information and knowledge also, disseminates to all the levels. So, starting with the reporting frameworks, there are multiple reporting frameworks, but the current reporting framework is more aligned. What reporting is being mandated for the listed companies in India is in line with the global reporting requirement. As we are all aware, the two reporting standards which have been brought out by the International Accounting Standards Board, and which over a period of time the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, which sets in the accounting standards, would also be implementing them in what we say, in a manner in which there is a consensus developed in the society, and then they are brought in. So the reporting which takes place, and it emphasizes on all aspects, as you rightly mentioned, it starts with E, but it also has S and G, and which you very rightly emphasized upon. So there are 9 core key indicators which are being looked upon, and these are the 9 core KPIs upon which the companies are required to report. So they include greenhouse gas footprints. So as my Honorable President mentioned in his opening remarks, you are talking about carbon credits, you are talking about accounting for carbon credits. So in some part of the world it is a liability, in some part of the world it is an asset. So it depends whether you are a net producer of carbon credits or you are a net consumer of the carbon credits. And in terms of social, so it lays emphasis on the gender diversity, male-female ratios, physically challenged and differentially abled people working in the organizations. It also emphasizes on well-being and safety of the employees. So these are important indicators to ensure that there is a proper, so these become part of your sustainable goals. And for governance, there is emphasis with respect to fairness in engaging with customers and suppliers and other business areas. So these are the 9 core KPI indicators upon which, and then there are details with respect to each one of them. There are qualitative indicators, there are quantitative indicators. So giving a reasonable assurance on qualitative indicators is certainly a challenge, but these are the opportunities in a way. But that is how the reporting mechanism is evolving in India. And as I said earlier, it is in line with the global reporting indicators, and that's how it's moving on.
Interesting. Just to highlight that Oman also has taken a significant step towards the financial or ESG reporting. So MSX came up with reporting requirements for ESG, and there are certain metrics as well. So also Central Bank of Oman came up with the framework on the green financing and sustainable financing. So Grader, if you can explain more on this front.
Absolutely, yeah. I will. Firstly, completely agree with both the panelists, or all the 3 panelists, in terms of the increasing awareness of this topic, whether it be battery operated cars, whether it be the S&G. So typically, as Rajiv called out, we focus on the E part. S&Gs needs to come up the radar, right? In Oman, to be specific to the question, in Oman, companies were required to publish a sustainability report. This was not mandatory, so some of us published, and some of us did not, or not on a regular basis. From this year, 2025 onwards, MSX has asked listed companies to publish a set of 30 matrices, covering ESG, not too different from what Manoj talked about in terms of the quantitative and qualitative aspects. The deadline for this was 31st of March. That's been extended, but I believe most of us have completed this now, right? That's from a stock exchange perspective. Obviously, the central bank, which regulates the financial services industry, which is a key component in any economy, we have regulations to comply with. We are required to have our own strategy around the ESG area, what we are doing. Both panelists talked about sectoral lending. Yes, CBO has also prescribed lending for sectors. And relevant to ESG is 8% of our lending book for banks to be in the renewable energy space by 2030. So there are absolutely not different from what both the panelists talked about. We have sectoral lending limits, increasing focus on ESG. Similarly, matrices for ESG reporting. Increasingly, these will be evaluated, and as the president of the institute said, investors look for a ESG score for a company. If I'm going to invest in a company, I need to know what the ESG is. Given my role, I visit our investors in Europe and other parts of the world. Typically, the questions revolve around, particularly over the last 2 years, okay, we know your credit, we are happy with that. But talk to us about ESG, what are you doing in this space? Talk to us about that. Awareness is increasing. And people increasingly look for a ESG score before they invest in a company. That is an important trend that's coming up in the region.
That's true. See, responsible investors are increasing, and the demand for ESG investment also increasing. But we as finance and investment professionals, we always look at the return on investments, return on assets. Sometimes we neglect the long-term impact, the sustainable impact. So Khalid, how do you see that balance, in terms of making profit and managing the risk and making that alignment, and how you see that we can attract more foreign investors who are really actually care about ESG?
So I'll talk about what we look at. ESG, when we invest, we do look at the ESG reports, and we look at it because it's linked to ROI. If you look at companies that are trying to have larger exposures internationally. So let's talk about manufacturing companies specifically. Whenever they try to export their products internationally and they deal with large clients, whether it's government-based or large institutions, those institutions always require a request for an ESG audit. So if you don't have that in place, if you've not already established yourself to have not just ESG reporting, but also an ESG plan, then you don't meet their requirement, and that limits your opportunities in these very large markets. So it is, for us, whenever we invest companies, we want to be able to see that these companies are ESG, because it allows those companies to be able to be more successful long-term, because they're able to export to very large markets. So that I see the link, because ultimately us as investors, most investors are very much concerned on the ROI. We're also concerned about sustainability. It's something that is important to all of us. But it cannot be at a significant compromise to the ROI. That is also a reality that we all have to accept. But if the ROI is actually supported by ESG, then that creates a perfect opportunity for us to all be focused on, making sure that we put our money in companies which are, maintaining a certain standard of ESG.
Interesting. Rajiv, would you like to add any example, a real life example you had in Axis Bank on ESG implementation?
Yes, actually a very interesting conversation, and I certainly want to jump into that. And I think the point that Giridhar made is very important. The way that we think about it, and as a corporate banker, my primary responsibility is to ensure that the project is bankable. And that when I lend money, the money comes back to me at the end of 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, as the case may be. And it is, so therefore, to that extent, whether the project is green or not is subservient to the fact of whether my money will come back to me or not. And I think this is very important. That I am not chasing green, I am chasing bankable green projects. Question 2 is that we have raised money. We have done a 81 sustainable bond. The liquidity that we were able to attract as a result of that was very, very good. We were able to attract, if I remember right, about 46% of money for that 81 sustainable bond came from ESG funds, which under normal circumstances we would not have been able to attract. But what is important is that we did not get any discount. The fact that we got whatever Axis Bank's credit rating is, our pricing was broadly in line with that. And so therefore, if I'm not going to get a discount when I'm going to raise money, I think our borrowers cannot expect a discount when we are lending to them just because it is green. If there is any subsidy that needs to come through, cannot come through from the bank's balance sheet. It needs to come from other agencies, including the government. If it is, I think, unfair for the larger system to believe that corporate entities like banks, for example, will need to bear the cost burden as far as the environment is concerned.
Thanks, Rajiv.
So can I just add one
sure.
practical example, fully agreeing and concurring with what was mentioned. I also would like to relate to the bank, private sector bank, where I'm associated in my capacity as an independent director, Federal Bank. So this bank has been able to raise a large amount of funds from International Finance Corporation, looking at the ESG policies which the bank had at that point of time, and agreed to commit over a period of time. So with that in place, so there is a commitment to reduce, for example, credit exposure to some of the dirty sectors, as was mentioned, coal particularly. Honestly, when I grew up, coal, I always took it as a resource, yes, which the country has, but today it seems it's a liability. I mean, there are so many things being talked about. But the important point is...
We can call it alternative energy sources.
Yeah, it's an energy. But there are now better and other renewable sources of energy which are picking up, and which we say are the green sources of energy. But the point that I was making is, when you have a good ESG policies and you are honestly implementing those policies, you are able to raise funds at a very competitive prices globally. So this is one important aspect which I believe the corporates need to bear in mind. Rightly, the banks would always look at their ROAs and ROEs and the others to give a fair return to the investors, but the ESG policies will, I believe, will play a very important role in times to come.
Agree. Actually, globally, everyone is looking at incentives in terms of ESG financing and sustainable financing. So just before we wrap up, I would like to ask just final questions. What will be the main or one or two actionable priorities which you feel that banks or financial institutions in Oman or in the region should focus on in the medium or the short and medium term to have this long-term impactful results? If we can start with you, Greg.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I think the first thing would be playing our part in education, this aspect, yes. Right? One of the things that very beautifully covered earlier on by the panelist here was the pricing of a transaction. When it comes to a green, and Carl is nodding his head, right? When you say that there's a green loan, for example, what is a green loan? It's not a green colored loan, just for, thing, but it's a green, renewable energy project. The pricing on that tends to be more attractive. Why are we not able to issue green bonds yet, for example, ESG bonds yet? We don't have as many green assets, which I would change over the next 12, 24 months, I believe. So that, in my view, first is that education aspect. Having these conversations, I talked about farming, for example, agriculture in Oman. I am aware of a particular company which does it properly through drip-free irrigation, saving water practice, yes. Sustainable water practices. That is also important. Water is our resource, prime resource. So the financial institutions have a role to play in having the dialogue with the customers, the regulators, and when I say regulator, I don't mean the central bank alone, I mean the stock exchange and other regulators as well. In terms of moving this agenda, this particular topic up the agenda, and congratulate CBFS for bringing this topic. It's very relevant for all of us, is how I would look at the role of IFI.
Agree. Totally agree on that.
So I would just like to add that what we are looking at in times to come is things like green fintech and digital platforms, so that you have reliable data, you have proper collection of data and reporting of the data. So such digital platforms will become very important. Sustainable financial instruments need to be there so that more and more entities can go forward for greener objectives, and to have a ESG data infrastructure. So these are some of the things which need to be looked at in terms of ensuring that more and more entities are motivated and are in a way are able to progress in this direction.
Interesting.
I think in terms of actionable items, I think there's two aspects to it. One is what is happening within the work environment, which is, I think, I encourage everybody to read more about ESG reports that are coming out from publicly listed companies here in Oman. It gives you a good perspective on what has been achieved, what can be achieved going forward. So I think this is something, at least I'm encouraging my own staff, I'm encouraging some of the companies I sit on to read this report, because that allows you to start looking for opportunities. It creates that discipline as well, that these are items which are, these 30 criteria that MSX has established are important. And also it changes in terms of culture and attitude as well. Because now you start to think, maybe I need to turn off the lights whenever I leave my office, I need to turn off the AC, maybe electric cars are not so bad, It allows you to start also opening your mind to these new form of way of thinking that are very, very important, because we want to be able to see a future where, not just on the environment side, but across the board, all of these practices are adhered to and encouraged.
Agree. So basically ESG practices at the workplace.
Yes.
Rajiv, final note you'd like to add?
So I think there's a lot of work that's happening around transition and transition financing. Corporates are transitioning away from thermal to renewable, etc. We're now seeing, as one of the panelists mentioned, we're seeing more EV cars on the road, etc., etc. There is a lot of money that is available as far as transition finance is concerned. We ourselves have done 81 sustainable bond. We've raised money from IFC Washington, which is green and blue financing. We have done guarantee structures from Guaranco, where we partake of some of the risk with onto our balance sheet, and some of it we move on to the Guaranco balance sheet. And so therefore there are various structures that are also now evolving for various participants to be able to participate across the capital structure based on their own risk appetite. But I think the most important thing that we need to now work on as we go forward is consistent definitions or taxonomy across the world. What does green financing mean? And once we get that right, one of the panelists also mentioned getting disclosures consistently across industries so that they are easily understood, can be easily compared, and so on and so forth. Not just first in India itself, then across Asia, and then across the world. So therefore, I can then understand what Tata Steel, whether Tata Steel, for example, in India is green, and if it is green, how green is it as compared to a Japanese steel company or a US steel company, for example. And I think there's a lot of work that's happening in this space. Actually, Europe is a little ahead of the world, and I think we are working with some of these entities through some of the committees at the government level and at our regulator level to get consistency around definitions and taxonomy.
Thanks a lot, Rajiv. So just three main takeaways which I take from our expert panelist is first, being a responsible citizen is very important, and data analytics plays a major role in the upcoming initiatives which everyone will be taking, either be financial institutions or even normal corporate, and having the practices in the workplace, the ESG practices, it's very important as well to have that alignment. And as Rajiv mentioned, there are a lot of new structure, financial re-engineering or restructuring is coming up to invest in these kind of impactful investments. So thank you very much for our esteemed panelists. I don't know whether we have time for the audience to ask any question. Yes. So the forum is yours. If you have any question.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's not a question. It's basically a suggestion. So when I hear from the panelists, there's a talk about funds being deployed in the sovereign, basically ESG bonds, from mainly investors coming from like IFC or Norwegian funds. Okay, what about building infrastructure that the local sovereign, then basically other institutions like insurance companies who have deployable funds, they are mandated to set up a limits towards the ESG investments, because without that infrastructure in place, the banks will not be able to get money also. So, as I fully agree, everything has to be bankable. And we are not expecting a subsidy coming from a private sector. Subsidy is not the burden for private sector. Private sector is already contributing as part of CSR initiatives. So, to come to a crux of all, what I understand is, cash flow has to be there from the start. There is a cash flow coming requirement from sovereigns. Okay. So why we are only targeting of sovereign funds outside the MENA region or outside the India in particular? There should be mandate set with regard to investments to be done by insurance companies, banks also, okay, and most important, the pension funds. Without that, the cash flow cannot move into this sector. Second thing is on the dirty ones. Dirty ones also have a right to live. We cannot live without thermal, we cannot live without coal. So, but there's a requirement of going to a transition approach. So, for example, as colleagues were mentioning about Tata Steel and the others, they are the biggest consumers of coal. Thermal power plants, they emit a lot of sulfur. So, there is a transition requirement. So, why we should not be setting up the parameters with regard to transition financing? So, basically, that is not a dirty book. So, ultimately, it's how I look, asset side or liability side. So if I consider my liability and can turn into asset, that's a good opportunity. Because ultimately greenhouse emissions will be reducing. We cannot live without thermal power plants. Thermal plants will be there. That's it.
So that's an interesting observation. And just to respond to your first part, and this is again just to share, many of the audience would be well aware of it. In India, we have the Companies Act, which came in 2013, which mandates every company to set aside 2% of their profits for matters like social responsibility. It is called corporate social responsibility. Every company which earns a profit above a particular threshold, and that threshold is very low today, each corporate has to incur that expenditure for the purposes of well-being of the society at large, for any of the projects. It could be for green, for environmental, it could be for different purposes. One of the companies I was associated with spent a very small sum of money because they had very low amount of profits, and that year they spent hardly, in terms of Indian rupees, just 1 million rupees. I mean, companies like Rajiv Anand and so on will be spending tons and tons of money very wisely. But this company, a small company, spent 1 million rupees, and it was on skill enhancements. I was chairing that corporate social responsibility committee. It was very heartening to see that a batch of 100 students who had passed their graduation were taught certain skills within a period of 45 days, which could make them employable. So today what we see is that education by itself does not mean that you are employable. So there is a gap which needs to be bridged. And with a very small sum of money that could be done. So coming to your point, well taken, I think it's a collective responsibility. And it would not be right just to put the burden on the government or the sovereign funds. Yes. It has to be a shared responsibility.
I totally agree, Manoj. Yes, please.
What I was trying to bridge a gap between understanding what we normally get. So I am already under CSR obligations. So people should not think that I will be giving a subsidy with regard to that. Because I already have a budget commitment in Indian concept 2%, I fully agree, I'm an Indian chartered accountant. So, but then if I am giving a subsidy for that financing, government will not allow that to be considered my CSR budget, right? So both are different topics. I'm already under an obligation to meet CSR. So basically reduction in the financing cost, which other parties considering, will Indian government or Indian government allow me to consider about CSR budget? No. So why I should be having a double burden? So that's the point I was trying to make. I hope it's clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But I agree it's a collective effort, by all the stakeholders in the community. Yes, please.
A very good morning to all.
Good morning.
My name is Aparna Praveen and I'm a student of class 12 in Indian School Al Gubra. My question is there any way by which we as students can contribute towards the field of sustainable finance?
Yeah, thank you. Nice to see a question from a student as well, right? Firstly, as Suad said, it's about being a responsible citizen, right? Do your bits, whether it be for the environment, recycling, I use the word circular economy, whether it be clothing, books, whatever it is, recycle has to be a big theme of our lives. It is not currently. If you go into the UK, for example, garbage is clearly segregated. What is recyclable, what is not? Now you want to say, what can I do as a student, right? As a student, you can really contribute to increasing awareness about this theme. And where does it start? It starts at home. It starts in the neighborhood, all right? What happens if we start a recycle bin? We don't have segregated bins here, right? You go to the UK, first thing you see is green, blue, we see the trash cans, clearly. So number one, of course I understand your question was on finance. On finance, it's about just creating the awareness of what this word sustainable finance means. I think some of the panelists also talked about it. So that's how I would ask you to approach it. Yeah? Good. Thank you.
Hi. Hello. Yes. My name is Ahmed Laraimi. I'm from the Ministry of Finance. I would like to thank ICAI and CBFS for this wonderful contribution. My question is the most important role of evolving the green culture is to spread awareness. How can we spread awareness here in Oman?
I think spreading awareness is it's a cultural and it's a form of attitude as well. You need to, you have a family at home, you go to the office, all those people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Do guide them, because not everybody is thinking sustainability. I think sometimes it's important to point out simple things such as I mentioned, turn off the lights when you're leaving the office. These concepts are important, but it goes beyond that, because we always talk about the environment, we don't talk about the S and G as well. So do go and see what does the S and G include, and how can you adopt more of that in the workplace. So I think the awareness is about understanding it first, and then spreading it and trying to make people aware of its importance. So that is what I would advise.
And just to add what Khalid mentioned, since it's a collective responsibility, I think all the companies, institutes, and even government entities can build through their social media network. Building awareness from home to the school level. It's a full cycle of awareness needs to be built.
So can I just add something?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So great question, right? We all need to role model this behavior, right? I talked about plastic, but I'll give you another workplace example, which is printing. And there was a student who asked the question. It's pretty easy to print, right, at workplace. We don't want to read on iPads. We don't want to read on screens. We still prefer paper. Okay, so if you have to print, think. Second, if you need to print, do you need to print color?
Black and white.
No, actually, a lot of our doesn't read color. Thirdly is, reverse printing, right, on both sides. Paper recycling is important as well. So those are individually, if one person sets the way, saying, wherever I go, I'm not going to carry a plastic bottle, for example. I'm going to have a bottle with me. It's in my backpack, whether I go to the gym, whether I come to work, whether I come to do. People start noticing these things. Small differences make a big thing in this team.
Yes, totally agree. I think due to the time, so we'll end the conversation now. But however, the experts are available during the break time. You can ask them any question you would like to. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Suat.
Well, thank you to all the esteemed panelists for this insightful discussion. Well, may I now invite our chief guest, Dr. Zahran Salti, to the dais to facilitate the dignitaries, speakers, panelists for their valuable contributions today. May I now request Dr. Zahran to kindly facilitate CA Nanda, the president of ICAI, in recognition of his esteemed presence and contribution for today's event. Thank you, CA Nanda. So I would like to invite also CA Gaurav Kapoor and CA Onmesh to the dais to join Dr. Zahran. May I now request Dr. Zahran to kindly facilitate the mementos to the following speakers as a token of our appreciation. We'll begin with Ms. Suad Al-Belushi. Thank you, Ms. Suad. Mr. Khalid Al-Aisari. Sia Giridar. Thank you. Sia Manoj. Miss Eiman Amri. Dr. Mohammed Dulal Miah. Dr. Fatin Zajali. CAK Raghu. And Miss Yasmin Malhotra. Well, unfortunately, one of our esteemed panelists, Mr. Anand, was unable to join us today due to unforeseen circumstances. As a token of our appreciation for his contribution and support, his memento will be personally delivered to him. May I invite CA Gaurav Kapoor, the chairman of ICAI Oman chapter, and CA Onmish, vice chairman of ICAI Oman chapter, to kindly present a memento to Dr. Zahran, the dean of CBFS, as a token of our appreciation and gratitude. May I now invite all the speakers and dignitaries on stage for a group photograph. Thank you very much. I would like also to invite managing committee members of ICAI Oman chapter on stage for another group photo. Other chapters. And also I would like to invite the managing committee members of all other sponsored chapters, ICA, CA, III, ACFE, CFA, and ACI Oman, on stage for another group photo. We now begin our next segment, a technical session titled Microeconomics of Climate Change, a case study of Oman. And it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Ms. Eiman Amri, Executive Accountant at Central Bank of Oman. Ms. Eiman, over you. Well, Ms. Eiman Amri is quoted by our representative from ACFE Oman chapter and presented with GIY.
Eiman Al-Amri is an executive accountant at the Central Bank of Oman with over 14 years of experience in the banking sector. Throughout her career, she has led various financial and administrative functions and has served as a subject matter expert on several key CBO projects, including drafting procedures and conducting developmental studies. She is also a contributing author to the OIC member countries report. Eiman holds a master's degree in finance and investment from Durham University, UK, and a bachelor's degree in accounting from Sultan Qaboos University. She has earned certifications in financial technology from the University of Hong Kong and in Islamic finance from the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, UK. Additionally, she has completed specialized training with the International Monetary Fund in monetary policy, financial systems, and climate change economics. Her interests lie in green finance, financial sustainability, and financial inclusion. She actively promotes financial awareness through lectures delivered to CBO stakeholders and the public. Eiman is passionate about aligning finance with climate action and advancing inclusive financial practices for broader economic well-being. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy today to be here and to give a case study about Oman. As what is mentioned in the discussion before, that the climate change is a hot topic and well over all the world, so there are people discussing. A part of that, what we are gathering here today to talk about the sustainability, about the green finance. I would like in my presentation today to talk about two parts. In the first part, I would like to give insight about the climate change, and the second part about the financial sustainability. And the first part, I would like to give you an overview about what is going in the climate change. You need to hear about the indices. This word, like as we get to use to hear about ESG, so we need to get used to use the word or the abbreviation of indices. And I would like to have to show you what is going in Oman related to the climate change and what is the national strategy, and to give the position of Oman comparing to its neighborhood in GCC. In the second part, I would like to talk about Oman, what is initiatives for the climate change, initiatives for the climate change, especially on the green finance, and to compare its position with the GCC countries. Let us go to the first part for the climate change. What is important when we need to remember, because we hear about in the news a lot of issues related to the climate change, and there is articles, there is agreements. What is the most important one we need to realize and to remember is the Paris Agreement. What is the basic of the Paris Agreement? If we hear about Paris Agreement, we say that there is a lot of articles. Do we need to know about all of this? No. What is we need to know is that there is two key features of the Paris Agreement. The first one is, like, they are targeting that the increase in the temperature, should be below 2, ideally by 1.5. The second part is the adaptation. Adaptation is one of that, the part of adaptation is what we are now here discussing. So what we can do, so what we can to work on, to reduce the vulnerability also of the climate change. So we can see here that the nationally determined contribution, which I will move on to discuss, and the climate finance and here to do. So this is what I would like you, when you hear about the Paris Agreement, to remember that there is two key features, is that they reduce the increase in temperature below 2, ideally by 1.5, and there is adaptations, and each country have its own. Let us to see what we mean by the nationally determined contribution. All members countries who signing the Paris Agreement, in the article number 4, paragraph 2, they need to report their level in the country, their contribution to reduce the greenhouse gases. So they need to mention that and what is their plan. Based on the Paris Agreement, so they need to first report that it will be 2020. Every 5 years, they need to report. Oman, when they report, they give their report, there is update on that reports. So now, from onwards, so you need to get to use the word indices. So when you go to the Google, and you are here, some of the investors, so you need to know I'm investing or planning, or I'm like a bank, I want to finance some projects. You should just only to say indices, search for indices, and put the name of the country, and it will show you the report and what they plan to do. It is very detailed, helpful information. Everything is clear in that documents. Based on the Paris Agreement, the countries are actually reporting. So if we go to Oman, what is going for the climate change and what is their contribution, it is actually not coming from the Paris Agreement it's alone. It is so far when they are signing the Kyoto Agreement in 2005. Also, what we are actually conducting here in Oman is related to Paris Agreement as well to our Vision 2040. So that's why we are moving fast in such regard. So if we go to the Paris Agreement, when Oman is signing in 2020, and they're given their first indices, I mean that their contribution to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases, they put, in 2021, they put the baseline. Actually, most of the countries, they did that. 2021, Oman, they put the baseline. In that baseline, what that's meaning? They put the baseline that if we continue business as usual, so I'm continuing with using the same resource and everything, what will happen, what will be the emission in 2030? Based on that, so they are like putting their adaptation, like mitigation for the climate change, and they are putting their plan. The first NDC, the first NDC, when they are submitting, they saying that we will committed with a 7%. So that means 7%. Then they get to update that indices in 2023. They say that no, we are based on what we are conducting now. We can, by 2030, we will reach to 21%. So that Oman, within the 5 years, they changed twice. So that means Oman is working very good in that context. For the climate finance, what their Oman plan? They mean they're in their plan to achieve to net zero. So what they are planning? They're planning that the financing to be like 70 to 80% from the private sector, and 20 to 30% will become from the government sector. To achieve that and to control and to that, so they issue in 2024 they announced the net zero center. So, and they actually, they are working to achieve to the target, which is our target is 2050. Here, I would like to give the position of Oman and to see how they are working with GCC countries. So we would like to know that is all GCC's countries, I'm scared like to fall down, but I want all of those people to see. So I don't know if you on the back, you can see this, the slide, it's clear to you. Okay. What they are conducting. So all GCC's countries have a net zero target. So Oman and United UAE, they are targeting like by 2050. All other GCC's countries by 2060, except Qatar, they have, but it is, when I say there is no, because actually the net zero, it should be like a document. And there is, still now, Qatar, they didn't publish the document. So that means they are planning, but there is, it is not reporting what is their plan. So that's why we're not included, actually. So if we say about the, how the renewable energies, if you can see that all GCC's countries, they have a plan to reach to that. If we go to the emission reduction, all of them, they have emission, but for Bahrain and Kuwait, still it is not clear. So it's not meaning for the reporting, it's still not clear. When we say national climate strategy, as you can see, there is 2 of GCC's countries, they are not included. Why we mean that? We mean in this, actually, when they are including the national climate, it is not for oil and gas sector. So Bahrain and Kuwait, they have for oil and gas sector, they have. So they have a target like in that. But when we say national strategy, it covers all the sectors. So that means Oman is doing perfect. So, and there is have a clear plan on that. Maybe some of you, they say that, okay, so they are putting only just like a strategy and they putting a good words. So related to what they are saying. Actually, the Minister of Energy in February this year, he announced that 32% of the production of electricity come from renewable energies. And this percentage, so 32%, is still the effect of the project, which are that for green, green hydrogen, and there is some of the projects are coming in 2027, and still. So we are expecting like maybe we will reach a very high level when we are going to 2030. So I've given you an evidence that Oman is going to do. Now let us to go to the most important topic about financial stability and green finance. First, I would like to say, to give the position of Oman, what we are doing here in Oman, and then we compare our position with GCC. There is a high collaboration, so we are actually, when we go to green finance, we are in beginners. We can say that beginners because we didn't do. So that means we need to I would like to scan what is the infrastructure, what we are doing here in Oman. There is actually collaboration between different parties and authorities and regulators to do this infrastructure. So let us first to see about what is done in Ministry of Finance, then Central Bank of Oman, then Financial Services Authorities, and then Muscat Stock Exchange. Let us to start with the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance, they issue a sustainable report framework, and it is clarify the position of Oman, what is the plan. Actually, that report is very perfect and mention in details what is they are doing. Here they have the KPIs, as you can see here. And if you can see that the target by 2040, which is actually our vision, Oman Vision 2040, they are targeting that the total required, so because to go to green, so should be a project, yeah? So Oman targeting that even to finance those projects, which will help to go to sustainability, it need to be from a green source. So, and by 2030, they are targeting to achieve 67%. This is what is conducted by Ministry of Finance. Let us to see about Central Bank. Central Bank, they updated their regulations about their to do for sustainabilities. They have issued a circular and for banks, to give them the guidelines of ESG reporting, as well as they give a lines for that. So it will now currently, it is the reporting disclosure are voluntary. By next of end year will be mandatory. And also they are working and they are green taxonomy. In the previous session, they are discussing about the taxonomy and for the credit portfolio for the banks, whatever. So Oman actually, they are working, Central Bank in progress with related parties. And of course, when it is finished, it will be announced to the public. Going to Financial Authority Services, they issue the regulation from last year. So, and it's ready, and everything is done. For Muscat Stock Exchange, as also in the previous session, they are discussing already the listed companies on the stock exchange. By the first quarter of this year, it is mandatory for them to report. Now I give you that there is an infrastructure, so it's good for Oman to go on that. Let us to see position of Oman with GCCs. Now in a country level, in each country level, what we can do, here we have that. If we can say that they have sustainable framework, yes, all GCC countries, they have a sustainable framework. If we could say that sovereign funds issuance, if you can see that Oman in progress. There is some GCC countries and Oman in progress. If we say that central bank guidelines, so all GCC countries except Saudi Arabia, actually this is the statistics depend on what is published. So what is published for them? Maybe they have, but nothing written, nothing it is published on the website, their website to do. So if we have a capital market regulatory, if you can see that Oman, there are 3 countries in Oman within that. Have financial center for regulation, only 2 countries. And also they have ESG index. Oman didn't have ESG index. And for the sustainable stock exchange, which is that be in higher level, global level, yes, all GCC countries, they have. This is when we talk about the country level, okay? So let us to move to see within that country, if they have like companies with that, the incentive with that. As you can see that all GCC countries, banks, they have the banks who are like having sustainable finance framework. So then it doesn't mean that all of them, but this is the statistic is they have some, okay? So banking issuance, sustainable bonds, you can see only 3 countries, Oman not still yet. Bank providing sustainable loans, you can see that all of them, actually they are providing. So investment fund, so we have Saudi Arabia and UAE. If we talk about, there is a type of bond which is related to the energy, if you can see that Bahrain and UAE. Now, in general, what is the sectors which actually they are working, I mean, in companies level? If you can see that Oman is working in shipping. And also, if you would like to visit, go to ASIAD group. You will find the details information. There is a report relating how they are working, ASIAD in their website. And actually, this is the end. Okay, I want to, and I would like to capture this, page because it is details report, and I don't know how many minutes we have for the question and answer. Sometimes the quality, sometimes the science of that you are feeling boring, or after the break you eat something very heavy.
No, it was excellent presentation. Today I'm filled with pride thinking that we are in a country which is, like I mentioned, we are quite forward thinking. And like you said, we have everything in place now. It's all about just doing it.
To move this one, the adaptation by Paris Agreement, this is just to summarize the Paris Agreement. So all Paris Agreement, all members they have. When you go to the report of NDCs of Oman, it is very detailed. They give you the history of the country, not meaning for ours, but almost of the countries. They will give you a history of the country and also the temperature, the average temperature, what is the hazards, and how they are in each sector, how will be the contribution in details, how we can do. Actually, the average temperature, it is not taken for 10 years or 20 years. It's actually for like at least 50 years. So that will be the increase on temperature. So that means in the level. Also, in the contribution to the net zero, so there is plans. As I mentioned on the second in here, that Oman updated. So that means in July, they have issue, and again in November, they issue again. Because there is a project in place, and they're failing to do. And by end of this year, they will issue the updated, as I have mentioned, like here. So that means every 5 years, they need to do reporting. And I'm expecting, because I heard in the news a lot of projects, actually. So I'm expecting by 2025, something will be reporting amazing about Oman. So they will go directly. So you need to go to reports. First, the updated one, recently, it is for the, where is here? Yes, please search NDCs Oman, November 2023. So it gives you a lot of details about Oman and all the plans. And please go to Oman Net Zero Plan, report. It gives you all the details and updated issues. And don't forget, like by end of this year, like to wait for the updated report. And actually will be now, because we have now center, so Net Zero Center, so they will issue the updated report, inshallah. So I hope I answered your question. Yeah. So anyone?
We are running short of time, but okay, one more.
Hi, Eiman. Thank you very much for enlightening the Oman's steps being taken to contribute towards our aspirations regarding carbon emission. Given the GCC countries' dependence on oil production and oil exports, what is likely to be the economic landscape once we achieve our carbon emission objectives?
So, actually Oman and GCC countries, they didn't start from when they are signing the Paris Agreement from 2020. They start earlier because they are target to Europe, and Europe countries, you know that they are very active in about that, like reducing the emissions of carbon. So already they have started. So it is not a new for them, but moving and also the preparing themselves to move to that. I don't know if you have attended last week Oman Sustainability Week. If you attend, you will see how that also there is not from GCC countries, also in the exhibition. So there are other countries to see that how they are working actually. So something is amazing. So and I'm sure that they are ready. So and they are and there is projects, and I have seen I notice and I have seen how they are working. I think they can achieve by 2030 something amazing, all GCC countries.
Last question with Dr. Ratish.
Yeah.
So thank you, Master of Ceremony, first of all, giving the opportunity. Your presentation is too good, exceptional. I will request the presentation can be shared through ICAI chapter. Now coming on the topic with Brother Imtiaz also raised with regard to net zero emission. So in your presentation, when you were making a mark that we have a target of 21% reduction as a BAU case. 21%, right? Yeah. Initially 7%. Now we are expecting a lot of economic growth in the Oman market, especially in opening up of other sectors like mining, right?
Yeah.
So mining is known to lead to additional amount of greenhouse emission, and there are multiple things available. So for example, if you don't allow open pit mining, emissions will be less, all those things. So are we targeting to cover those aspects which are going to come forward in future as part of our plans?
Yeah, actually this February this year, there was a gathering by the, which is named Together Forward, actually. So, and all the ministers are there. So they are actually, they keep in mind like the tools are using for mining or whatever, so is like to be like friendly for the environment. So even they are targeting that even that if you, the sectors, other sectors, to be friendly to the environment.
Yeah.
As sustainable.
Thank you very much. One final question.
Yeah.
In your second last slide, before the references, you have set up with regard to investment funds with target towards sustainable financing, which we identified as nil apart from 2 countries in the region.
Yeah.
Can an effort be made that for the sovereign funds, pension funds, insurance companies, the regulator mandates that basically at least 10 to 15% of the investments they make should be into that, like we have a Sharia index, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for an ESG index based companies, or for bonds issued by companies under the ESG framework.
Yeah.
So this should be the starting point, because cash flow should start.
Yeah.
Because without the cash flows, as I mentioned the previous session also, it's not practically possible. So maybe that consideration should be thought across.
Yeah.
Impetus to start with a small step. For the sovereign funds, pension funds, because right now the mechanism is being made so basically people can issue sustainable bonds.
Yeah.
But for sustainable bonds, there should be a mandate for the big ones having money in the pocket to invest. So how the mandate will come? To investment limits. So maybe that process can be started rather than even thinking from the very beginning we need to have one full-fledged, because we already have infrastructure in place. And some of our colleagues are sitting here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So actually that there is different parties related to that. It is like Ministry of Finance, like issuing, and also that for the regulatory authorities, like to prepare on that. So actually, as you have seen before, it is actually like we are starting. So, and these issues will be happen later on. And actually, of course, something is like now in progress to target what you are mentioning, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eiman. Thank you very much. Our next technical session explores how technology is shaping sustainability in finance, titled Digital Transformation and Environmental Sustainability, Navigating Oman's Sustainability Goals. It will be delivered by Dr. Mohammed Dulal Miah, the Associate Professor at CBFS. Dr. Miah, we look forward to your insights.
Dr. Mohammed Dulal Miah is an Associate Professor at the College of Banking and Financial Studies. He holds a Master of Business Administration in Finance and a Doctorate in Development Economics from Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University in Japan. Dr. Miah has co-authored 5 books and published over 40 research papers in peer-reviewed journals. He is a sought-after speaker and has participated in numerous international conferences across various countries as an invited speaker and facilitator. His research interests include sustainable and environmental finance, corporate governance, Islamic finance and banking, and institutional economics. Through his academic contributions and international engagements, Dr. Miah continues to promote deeper understanding in these critical areas of finance and development. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking.
And of course, there is like a GIY kit for Dr. Miah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum and still good morning. I welcome you to our presentation on the topic Digital Transformation and Environmental Sustainability, Navigating Oman's Sustainability Goal through Adaptation of Technology. So just earlier speaker, you have heard about macroeconomics GCC context. So I am just moving to a narrower context, microeconomics indicator, and also in Oman context. So this is actually just what I am going to talk about, environmental sustainability in Oman 2040 vision. Actually, my presentation is very much, aligned with the earlier presentation, but that was the macroeconomic scenarios, and mine one is microeconomic, smaller, narrower scenarios, a case of a banking sector. So it is actually a TRC approved projects for 2 years. Myself and Dr. Zahran and Dr. Wiesel are the members of this projects. So this is the beginning. We are just, it is approved just few months back. So we are just still continuing. This is an ongoing project, and this is our preliminary, you can just say pilot results of something. So we will talk about Oman Vision 2040, what is the indicators about the environmental performance, and then our research. So this is Oman 2040 vision. You can just see the pillars. There are 4 pillars here, and one of the pillars is actually environment with sustainable components. So our research is basically targeting this part of Oman Vision 2040, where it is stated that the safe and well-preserved environment with effective and balanced ecosystems and renewable resources to ensure the sustainability development of Oman. And you can see these targets, you can see the pink one, environmental performance index targeted for 2040 is actually the value is 74.69, and Oman aspires to be one of the top top 40 countries by 2030 and top 20 countries by 2040. And currently the baseline is 2018. You can just see where Oman stands in 2018. Its value is 51.32 environmental index. On that index, Oman ranks 116 out of 127. So actually it's a long way to go, but actually we can say Oman is ready to chart this path. So just earlier presentation, you have seen about the INDC or NDC, International Determined Contribution, which each country submits to COP, Conference of Parties, every year. And according to Oman 2030 INDC report, it says that it has an ambition to attain net zero by 2050 and decreases GHG emission by 21% by 2030. And it actually urged all the stakeholders, especially private sector and public sector, to contribute to achieve the targets with financing and execution. And actually it is it urges to leverage cutting edge technologies across all sectors to actually navigate this transformation. Here actually we find the banking sector. That banking sector has a very pivotal role to play towards this transformation, actually because the bank itself can adopt a go green policy for itself. For example, bank can have all kinds of environmental initiatives within itself, like it can have, say, let's say its ATMs are operating using solar energy produced by itself. It can have branch networks which are energy efficient. It can have its transactions paperless. And there are many initiatives bank can actually undertake to be green or to contribute to achieve the Oman Sustainability Vision 2040. Also, the big part comes here. While bank can adopt go green policy for themselves, bank can initiate a lot of policies or a lot of efforts through its customer, through its clients to ensure the environmental sustainability. For example, when bank grants loan to customers, to clients, then it can assess how the customer is, how much the customer is exposed to carbon emissions. So if the client is emitting GHG more than the average or more than the expected level, bank can be little bit tougher in terms of loan covenants, actually to make the clients accountable that you are doing something that's what we don't want. In respect, I mean in exchange of that, what you are going to do for the society, for the country. So it can have little stricter covenants for these clients who are actually emitting too much carbon in the economy, in the society. At the same time, it can have a flexible look for the clients who are actually doing good for the environment, good for the people. For example, it can have a concessional rate, it can have a flexible covenants for this kind of clients. So through this, the bank can achieve a huge the impact on the sustainability race across the globe. And most importantly, bank is not going to do it voluntary or sheer corporate social responsibility purpose, because nowadays the bank has to give loans to clients very carefully, that because, for example, let's say the bank is giving loans to a client and who is exposing too much carbon emissions, and next year the Oman government comes into with new policies, and that policy may greatly impact the company, and that company may go bankrupt because of the policy, and bank is going to lose its investments. Just for reminder, you see 2-3 months back there was a huge wildfire in Los Angeles, and before that there are many serious wildfire in California, and there are frequent wildfires in Australia. And if you just have a look some of the news events out of the, I mean, what happened, what kind of impact this events is having on companies. Many insurance companies went bankrupt because they have to pay the compensation, and the insurance company was not ready for a colossal impact, negative impact. So if a company gives loan to these insurance companies, then the bank is going to lose the money. So the bank is not going to do environmental sustainability initiative as a part of corporate social responsibility. It should be included in the risk assessments, it's the main risk assessments of that bank. So that's why we are just checking how digital technologies helps bank to achieve these objectives. So based on this, our research, examines the impact of banks' fintech adoptions on environmental performance in the context of Oman. I will skip that. So the basic problem we face in this kind of research is how we measure the environmental impact and how we measure the fintech adoption. This is the great challenge. And currently, well, the ESG report is somehow available, but what about the fintech index? Fintech index is still at very infancy, and we don't see a ready fintech index around the world. So what the literature is doing, they are using three methods. One is text mining method. Text mining method is actually you extract your desired information from huge unstructured data. For example, talk about Bank Muscat annual report. It is more than 250 pages. How do you read these 250 pages for one bank 1 year and find out your data? So the text mining is actually capturing the desired text from the unstructured data, huge available data. A second method is the companies, sometimes the researchers are going to ask the banks, okay, how much is your investment in fintech? And that information is very confidential. Usually we don't get that data. The third method is the researchers try to index find adoption of, fintech adoption by analyzing the various data disclosed by third parties, especially the newspapers, the magazines like this. So in our research, we are actually going to adopt this first one, text mining method. Of course, we are going to follow a triangulation method. You know, just this is the beginning of the projects. So we are currently following text mining method, and then in the future, we are going to have a focus group discussion. So who knows, maybe in the future, we will go to knock your door. Can you please give your opinion about this? So maybe many of you we may approach in the future, and we need your kind help in this regards. Also, we are going to have a questionnaire survey among the bank professionals and managers. So we just finished the first phase, the text mining approach. So how the text mining approach work? We retrieve information regarding the indicators of fintech adoption from the bank's annual report. So it's a kind of word frequency statistics in which texts are segmented, extracted, sorted, and evaluated. So we just extract the desired keywords from the bank annual report using some software, and based on this, we prepare an index. So for example, in the case of fintechs, we identify 10 keywords. Of course, this is not the best method, I should say, but this is the beginning. We can just start from the scratch, and in the future, we may reach to a refined method. So at the beginning, we identify 10 keywords that indicates the bank's level of adoptions of fintech, which are the fintech itself, technology, digital or digital banking, internet banking, network, online services, artificial intelligence or AI, blockchains, e-banking or electronic banking, and m-banking or mobile banking. These 10 keywords, based on the literature survey, we have identified these 10 keywords. And then we create a corpus. We actually collect bank's annual report and use a software. This software actually, this segments all the words. So we ask we use the software called AntCop. We ask this software, can you find out how many times fintech appear in Bank's Muscat 2020 annual report? So it gives us the data. So the similar way, we check all the keywords. Then we use the software actually, of course, because the word can be giving us different meaning based on actually how it is used in the text. So we check the prefix and the suffix of that word. And we check that the fintech, what is meant there is actually what we are looking for. So for example, this is a simple example. We check, for example, this is the, let's say one bank, Bank Muscat for let's say 2022. Okay. just we pick a word, fintech, how many times it appeared on that year's annual report. Then we check which bank among Oman has the highest number of appearance of that keyword. So we just make it a relative frequency, multiplied by 10. 10 actually it is a hypothetical number. You can use 100 or you can just leave it. Just I use 10 here to look the figure little visible. So it is the explanations here. So the scores range between 0 to 10 for a certain keyword in a specific year. And since we have taken 10 keywords, so actually the bank can score a maximum of 100 points, minimum 0 if it doesn't disclose anything. We continue the same for environmental index. But environmental index, we take 5 keywords: sustainable or sustainability, green, environment, carbon emission, and pollution. Actually, CEP we combine together because these are kind of negative words which bank usually doesn't like to disclose in their annual report. So in our results, you will see the bank does not like to talk about emissions, pollutions, carbon, because these are the negative words. So that's why we combine them together, and of course we use renewable. And here it is important to check the prefix and suffix, because environment can indicate different kinds of environment. For example, bank's risk environment, but we are not looking for that environment. Bank employment environment or work environment, bank macroeconomic environment. So we exclude this kind of words, checking the prefix and suffix with which the word environment used for in the annual report. So there are 5 keywords, so a bank can score a maximum of 50 points and minimum of 0. So we collected data for our preliminary research. We collected data from 2015 to 2022, 8 years. And since there are 8 licensed banks in Oman, we take only the local banks. So there are 8 licensed banks in Oman. So 8 years multiplied by 8 banks gives us 64 observations. And 2 banks have published their annual report in 2 years in Arabic. So the corpus cannot read that, the software cannot read that. So we exclude this, so it leaves us 62 bank year observation. So the data is not very large, but that is what we are having. So this is the average fintech index for all banks year-wise, 2015 to 2022. You can see the maximum score a bank can have is 100. Out of that, actually, you can see we started 2015 because before that, the fintech was not too much discussed in the banking sector, or there was, but not significant amount. So we started 2015. You can see there is a jump in 2021, obviously because at that time it was the pandemic, and during the pandemic, bank extensively relied on technologies, and then they disclosed this in their annual report. So we can see a jump in 2021, and importantly, this is we can see an increasing trend, not significantly though, but there is an increasing trend. And you can see the average environmental performance index for all banks since 2025 to 2022. Recently, because of various regulations and various awareness, you can see there is little bit high performance in 2022, and we expect if we include data 2023, 2024, it will be I mean more than that. So it's a good sign that the awareness or the disclosure about environmental facts in the bank's annual report is increasing year-wise. The frequently appeared fintech related terms. What terms frequently appeared in the bank's annual report? You can see technology, digital banking, mobile banking, and little bit of network. And the least spoken or least disclosed words are AI or artificial intelligence, blockchains, e-banking. These words are not actually talked or disclosed in the bank's annual report. How about frequently appeared environmental related words? Sustainability, obviously. And as I mentioned earlier, the carbon, emission, pollution. You can see, because these are the negative words, so they don't like to disclose this kind of information, except that they gives a positive feeling. For example, the bank is taking various initiatives to reduce the carbon emission, or bank is taking various initiatives to reduce the pollution. Then we go for checking the regression analysis. How does fintech adoption impacts bank environmental performance? So these are the descriptive statistics. I will skip that. These are the preliminary results of a regression analysis. We use univariate regression analysis. You can see the green line. The fintech score is having a positive and significant impact on banks' environmental performance. So it means that the banks, the more and more banks adopts the technology to provide services and transactions, the more and more the bank is doing well in terms of sustainability reporting, sustainability performance. You can see our model is very valid. We have 62 observations. F statistics, you can see the significance of F is 2%. So actually it is well beyond, below 5%. So this is a good model, but this is an univariate analysis. But if we take the multivariate analysis, you can see the impact is still coming, coefficient is still positive. But the p-value, it's not significant. So when you go to the multivariate analysis, the results is, the impact is positive, but it is not statistically significant, so we can't accept that results. And this is due to because we have only limited number of observations, 62 observations. 62 observation is not good enough to run the multivariate regressions. And you can see our model fit is very well. But because of all this, our the limited number of observations, we didn't find any positive. Impact is positive, but no significant impact. Maybe we have to explore more data and more observations that will maybe giving us good results or statistically significant results. So based on this, what we can see, the fintech adoption of the banks positively affects the environmental performance. And over the years, the banks mentioned terms associated with fintech adoptions more often in their annual report. And environmental performance has shown an upward trend during the period of study. And banks' environmental friendly activities need to be adequately emphasized in the annual report. We still feel that the bank is a little bit shy of disclosing this kind of information in their annual report. And how it will help, how bank can help navigate the achieving Oman Vision 2040, fintech solutions for green finance. Bank can actually look to how it can provide solutions to the customers which is environmental sustainability and environmental friendly. And of course, data analytics for environmental risk assessment is a new tool. And of course, I was talking with one of the members here. I used the word future, and he mentioned rightly, there is no future. It is now, present. So actually, there is no future as long as we are talking about environment. The steps should be starting today, and banks have started using data analytics and tools, but it should be implemented for environmental risk assessments for bank itself and for bank customers. And smart energy management system, as I mentioned earlier, bank can try to find out the source of energy for their ATMs, CDMs, and their branch, so that they can manage power for themselves through various clean energy. And then, of course, digital customer services, we can see already the bank has started implementing, but this scale should be increased. And cybersecurity for environmental data, I don't like to talk about security, it was talked early. And then AI-powered sustainability reporting, yes, sustainability reporting should be there. And now you have heard about that ESG reporting is going to be mandatory at the end of 2026. So AI can be used to produce the report to have less carbon footprint on the planet. And mobile apps for green investment. So mobile apps are used widely, but it can be used more extensively, and it should be green. And that's all for our presentation, and it's an ongoing project, and your comments and questions will definitely help us to make a good report that is having kind of potential impacts towards Oman Vision 2040. Thank you.
Sir, an excellent presentation and very detailed research you have carried out, and your findings are very valuable. So one observation and one comment, a question. The observation is you referred to banks giving loans to polluting industries. In that context, the banks do have certain risk matrices, and basis that risk matrices, they are factored in the loan policy. And to my understanding, on that on the basis of the policy, the borrowers are evaluated at the time of sanction of loans. Now, the question that comes to my mind is, you mentioned that if the borrower is not within a particular range, the banks should somehow penalize him by charging something more, or I was just thinking it could be by charging higher interest rate or penal charges, etc. The difficulty which would normally come in is because of the competitive nature of the banking industry. So do you think it is feasible, it is more feasible if there is some statutory or regulatory support to such issues, or in other countries like where I come from, it could also be in nature of certain government support, tax reductions or some fiscal support. So that would induce the bankers to be more punitive in terms of their borrowers not complying with the agreed ESG norms. So what are your thoughts on that?
Thank you very much. This is a very excellent question, actually, very, very important question also for banks and for environment. We actually, we conducted one more research in 2017 before the pandemic, and I interviewed 22 bank managers personally. I approached them personally and I interviewed them. 2017, so it's 8 years before. So the research is published in a good journal, Environmental Development and Sustainability. It's about green banking practices in Oman. If you search the title, you will find it. At the time, I asked this question: when you give loan to your customers, do you ask their carbon footprint? All of them said no. Okay, they are correct. They said no because if I ask and discourage the customers, then I will lose my business, because it is not level playing field. Everybody is not asking the same question. So if I ask this question, then I will lose my business. So why shall I ask? So this is, on the one hand, it is shocking, but the bank is fair because it has, one manager told, we are not doing charity. Straight, he said, we are not doing charity. He is correct because he is a businessman. Then, of course, then what is the suitable solution? I think you have already hinted out that there should be a national level regulations. The national level regulations, one thing I find out there that there was certain restrictions that bank cannot give loan to a customer who is going to import a car that is older than a specific time period. So this works. So this kind of regulations should come out so everybody has a level playing field. Okay. This is one aspect. The second aspect is about bank's own risk. As long as bank is actually taking into account the client's carbon exposure, because nowadays many regulations we are expecting in the future and which will negatively affect many industries, many companies. Maybe in the GCC we see it coming a little late, but talk about the Western countries where actually these events are very high. So many regulations are coming out that are adversely affecting banks' profitability and sustainability. So the customers are actually I'm going to bankrupt. So bank is losing their investment. So as long as these risk matrices are taken into account, the banks are somehow safe. But bank, of course, you are correct that bank cannot, stand alone, charge or penalize the customer, then it will lose business. So our recommendations on that paper was, actually there should be a national level playing field for all banks, so that they have the means or tools to discourage the customers who is exposed to too much carbon emission. Excellent, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, doctor. Presentation was good amount of research material was there. So I have a difference of view with your hypothesis drawn. So basically, if you are drawing a hypothesis that bank is not giving information with regard to carbon emissions in its annual reporting, then they are shy or they are doing something wrong. I fully don't agree with that.
I didn't say they are doing wrong.
Okay, shying away. So the whole idea is why I'm having this view is, there are three types of level disclosures required. Level 1, level 2, level 3 scope emission requirements. If you see balance sheet of the bank, how much is basically their own building they have it? Majority is in financing. There's no mandatory requirement. Even the European banks are not giving level 3 scope emission requirements. So for the purpose of all, level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is my own emissions. Level 2 is mine plus my employees. Level 3 is all, including my vendors, everything. When level 3 is not being given in European markets, why we are targeting that to be analyzed as part of the financial statements of banks in Oman? Second thing is, if the data is being analyzed in the banking sector in Oman, whether the same data is given by peers in global, like in European markets. So even the regulators over there have not met level 3 emission requirements. Level 1 is hardly anything. So why on an annual report is prepared on the basis of materiality concept? So if something is not even material, even less than threshold, why is bank supposed to give level 1 emission requirement? That's my point. So the basis starting of hypothesis, in my view, you can do this hypothesis for a manufacturing client, for a oil and gas, any sector, but banking, insurance, because their balance sheet, their own assets is hardly anything. So that is one point. Now, I think I will close here only.
Okay, thank
we
you.
We can discuss separately. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So I greatly appreciate your comments, and it's very valid questions. Actually, we are aware about that. That actually, this is a misconception that bank is a clean industry. And if you read the international report and these things, this misconception is actually not taking us towards a good sustainable future. Bank itself can be, yes, bank itself is a less emitter, but bank has a huge role to play, and our research is on that what bank can do. And of course, we rely on the legitimacy hypothesis. Legitimacy hypothesis says that if you are doing good for the society, why shall not we disclose it? This is legitimate hypothesis, because the bank works in the environment and it has certain part to play on. And if you are doing something good, for example, if you are reducing the pollution, you are reducing the emission, you are doing something good for the environment, why shall not you disclose it? So if you disclose it, it will not only increase your brand value, actually it will encourage others to follow the same. So that's our theory, the legitimacy theory, that if I am doing something good for the environment, for the society, of course I will disclose it to encourage others to do the same. So this is our theory and this is our hypothesis, and of course I accept we have limitations. Yeah. This is just, as I told you, this is not the perfect method. This is the beginning maybe, because we need something to move forward. Maybe this is it. Because I again tell you, if I can get the data from banks' own expenditure, how much they're spending for environment, how much they're spending for fintech, that would have been fantastic. But at our level, this is very difficult.
One last question.
So in your analysis of research, may I recommend that you go into the social media platforms of banks, you will get a lot of information. Because there the concept of materiality is not applicable. You will get all the information which you need for your research. Don't limit to annual report. Please, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can. I highly acclaim your suggestions.
Dr.
Maybe
Miah,
we can look. We can support through other data whether actually these findings sustains or not. Yeah, actually, I mean exactly. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all. I am Swayam Sharma, studying in ISG, student of class 12. I would like to ask that you mentioned about the 2030, 2040 and 2050 plans. Will sustainable financing be the focus of all the three? And by 2050, will sustainable financing be the power that rules the financing sector and the companies will start implementing it?
Can you repeat, please?
Like you mentioned about 2030, 2040
yes.
and 2050 plans.
Right.
So by 2050, will sustainable financing be the main focus and power of the financing sector?
Yeah. Very good. Excellent questions. I can see my son's face in his face, because my son is also going to ISGI. Very smart question. So yes, this is the transformation. We are transforming in the future. Some of the speakers told about the green bonds, the green finance. So these are actually, I am very restricted to say the future. This is the present also. I mean, in other countries, in the GCC countries, if you talk about Dubai and other Qatar and Saudi Arabia, the green bond is actually already started taking its toll. So Oman, we didn't see yet, as Ms. Eiman presented, a green bond and all these things are still not there. But 2040, 2050, I think we will cross a lot by that time. And yes, we will have a lot of sustainable financing means at that time. Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you very much,
One
Dr.
more question,
Miah.
Afrah. So you've been talking about technology and text mining.
Yes.
How accurate is that?
Well, the text mining is...
This is the first question.
Oh.
Ask it very fast. So, and the whole time we were talking about financial organizations and banking and the government, let's say, but we did not talk about the customers. Enforcing rules, enforcing rates on them, but what about the demand of the customer if they are actually able to afford, let's say, a brand new car because they cannot afford a second-hand used car, and the government are enforcing higher profit rates because the emission is higher.
Very good question,
Yeah,
Adari.
yeah. Okay, shall I answer?
Yes.
Yeah,
sure.
thank you. Very valid questions and very good questions. Okay, the first thing is the accuracy. Yes, it has been tested in different ways, and it is very popular method, text mining method. Even I personally, we took some samples where I manually do it, and we match, and they're quite clear. So software gives you quite accurate data about that. It is tested. Okay. The second thing is about, what about the customer's perspective? Okay, in our earlier sessions in the morning panel, we have heard about like coal mining and open pit mining. Once we stop these are also harming the people because some people are employed on this sector. So if we stop mining these things, then of course we are hurting the people's livelihood. But we have to always have a trade-off. The one side, yes, there is an economic consequences, another is sustainability. So we have to have a trade-off at a level actually that maximizes the social welfare. We say Pareto efficiency. Okay, right. So because all actions will have some losers always. If you talk about Donald Trump, he is in favor of coal mining and all these things to save the jobs. And he is taking out of USA from the Paris Agreement. Fine. But so you are saving the people's job, but you are deteriorating the environment. So we have to have always a trade-off. That's our life.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Miah. Thank you. We now move to our final panel discussion for the day, the role of financial institutions in accelerating green transitions. Let me introduce our moderator and panelists. So our moderator gonna be Dr. Fatin Al-Zajjali, Head of Learning and Development from Bank Dhofar, and the panelist CA Raju, Past President of ICAI, and Ms. Rania Zajjali, Manager Sector Development Department from CBO, and Ms. Yasmin Malhotra, Senior Investment Advisor from Oman LNG, and Board Member, CFA Oman Chapter, and Dr. Fatin. Please take the discussion forward. The stage is yours.
Dr. Fatin Al-Zajjali is the Head of Learning and Development at Bank Dhofar. She previously served as Acting Assistant Dean for Academic Support and Student Affairs at the College of Banking and Financial Studies. She began her career in banking with 2 leading banks in Oman, later moving into academia and training before returning to the banking industry. Dr. Fatin holds a bachelor's degree in business from Australia, a diploma in banking, a Master of Business Administration from the University of Strathclyde in the United Kingdom, and a doctorate in Islamic finance from INTIF in Malaysia. Her doctoral research focused on sustainable business models for small and medium enterprises in Oman. She is a certified Islamic banker and certified training professional, with additional credentials in behavioral skills and neuro-linguistic programming. Dr. Fatin has published on Islamic financial technology and contributed to sector standardization through international research. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking.
Before that, we have also, of course, GIY for the panelist and the moderator.
CAK Raghu is a highly respected chartered accountant with over 32 years of professional experience. He served as the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India during the year 2014 to 15 and is the founding partner of Messrs. K. Raghu & Co. a prominent Bangalore-based firm specializing in taxation audit and business consulting. Internationally recognized, he was a board member of the International Federation of Accountants, New York, and served on its audit committee. He holds honorary memberships from CPA Australia and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Australia and New Zealand and has represented India at major global forums. He has also held key roles in CAPA and SAFA. Nationally, he was appointed as an independent director of Indian Overseas Bank, where he chaired the audit committee and significantly contributed to the bank's turnaround. He currently serves as an independent director at Axis Securities Ltd and has previously been a board member of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, a passionate advocate for the profession. CA. Raghu has presented numerous technical papers at prestigious national and international platforms, actively contributing to the evolution of the accounting profession in India and beyond. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking.
As we mentioned before, the DIY kit is Grow It Yourself.
Ms. Rania plays a leading role in shaping financial policies and regulations for licensed institutions in Oman. She oversees the development across banks, finance companies, fintech firms, and money exchanges in both conventional and Islamic finance. She also leads the central bank's efforts in promoting sustainable and green finance, working closely with international organizations and government bodies. With more than 20 years of experience in financial regulation and analysis, Ms. Rania has contributed to several national and regional committees. These include the Women Empowerment Task Force, the Local Currency Bond Market Committee, and the Gulf Cooperation Council Supervision Committee. She is also active in areas such as environmental, social and governance practices, digital transformation, and monetary policy. Ms. Rania holds a degree in accounting from Sultan Qaboos University. She is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and a certified ESG practitioner. She has received professional training in the United States, Germany, and the Middle East. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking. Yasmin Malhotra is a seasoned investment professional with over 25 years of experience across global asset classes, including equities, fixed income, private equity, hedge funds, infrastructure, and real estate. She is currently the Senior Investment Advisor at Oman Liquefied Natural Gas and previously led investments for 12 years at the Ministry of Defence Pension Fund in Oman. Yasmin began her career as a research analyst in India. She holds a master's degree in Management Studies in Finance from the University of Mumbai and is the first woman in Oman to become a chartered financial analyst. She has also earned certifications from the Wharton School in Alternative Investments and Environmental, Social and Governance. Investing, along with training in climate risk and valuation from the Chartered Financial Analyst Institute. A strong advocate of responsible investing, Yasmin promotes sustainable financial strategies to build a greener future. We welcome you to the second annual forum of sponsored professional chapters on sustainable finance and green banking.
Great. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear audience member, it's a pleasure to be here on board today with you, with the panelist members who I really admire and respect in the field of sustainable finance. In today's session, we have wonderful panelists who represent different bodies, and I'm sure that you're interested to ask a lot on the regulator from the Central Bank of Oman. But please go easy. I see there's a lot of questions on the regulator since morning, and you've been burning questions on this. Remember, we have different other regulators like CFA for stock exchange market, and as well Sukuk, and Takaful industry, the Islamic insurance and insurance. And of course, we have the financial institution as well, represented, the CFA chartered yourself, Ms. Yasmin, and tech-based, which I'm very interested in, specifically after the research paper that Mr. Miah as well proved, that fintech actually is a positive impact on sustainability, has a positive impact on sustainability. So first of all, I would like to thank the College of Banking and Financial Studies for inviting us to discuss this pertinent topic, and I would like to thank the professional chapters, whether it is ICAI, CFA, IIA, ACFE, or the, I believe I forgot one, ACI. So I covered you all, inshallah. I would like to refer to the speech today that we had in the morning, a wonderful speech by Mr. Singh Nanda. He mentioned the role of financial institutions. It seems we have a big role on the change happening on climate change and the risks all over the world. We have been discussing the impact that we contribute to the society. Now, before we go ahead and discuss our role, let us just discuss what's happening in the world before we get into the context of Oman. First, are you aware that Indonesia has changed its capital recently from Jakarta to a new capital? I hope that I pronounce it well, which is Nusantara. Now, if you know Indonesia, it's a line of islands which is straight. Nusantara is not in that main island. It's up in the island of Borneo, where it shares borders with the Malaysian country, with its neighbors, Malaysia. Now, the change from Jakarta to Nusantara is very objective. They wanted to do that because of the rising sea level in Jakarta. In fact, there is a lot of floods happening every single year that the rising sea level is threatening the existence of this capital. So we are talking about a country changing its capital. It has a lot of heritage, it has a lot of history. This is a major, big impact. And if it doesn't tell you anything except that this is real, let it sink in, because it is real. Climate change is real, it's happening, it's affecting the world. It's not affecting your balance sheet. We're not talking about balance sheet today, okay? And cash flows and business. We are speaking about our survival, and if we talk about sustainability, we have to go by definition. Your turn, wonderful, we've done well. What you have kept for the future generations to come. Now that's a very interesting concept, future generation, our youth. And I believe we have representative of youth today, of the students who are with us in this session. This session is a challenging one, as I have mentioned, not only because I do have very interesting representations, but because it is towards the end, before lunch, and I don't want to bore you. So let's get into the questions. So let us get into the question of the integration of sustainability practices, integration of the strategies in organizations, and the challenges, why organizations are not taking frameworks into considerations, or is it a lot of challenges to the degree that they cannot embed the sustainability practices. So Yasmin, I'll start with you. What do you think is the main challenges? And I hope you can outline them in a way that makes it easy for them to dichotomize how to get about it.
I speak from a GCC perspective. Again, we are a very highly fossil-denominated economies in the region. And we have our own set of challenges as we move along in this journey. But we have to prepare ourselves for the future, rightfully so, as mentioned by Dr. Fatin, that the world is changing and it's changing very, very rapidly. Now, to combat these changes, our economies, which have been very oil-dependent economies, need to be at the forefront of this transition because we have finite resources. We have only so many years of resources, and we know that the world is headed towards more sustainability, towards more climate-aware strategies. And we, of course, want to leave a better planet for our children and the future generations. And that itself should incentivize us enough to get on this journey as soon as possible. Now, regulations apart, of course, we've got CBO coming up with regulations which mandates that banks should be coming with disclosures. I think the bigger challenges in this industry, so to speak, would be measurement. Are we measuring it correctly? That brings us again to the allegations of greenwashing. All these challenges, of course, we need to have qualified, credible associations signing off on these certifications so that investors like us, who are the stewards of capital, responsible capital, I would say, would not be doubtful in deploying these investments in sectors like these. So I think also I would like to say that more important than changing overnight, it's a journey, it's a transition, and especially for economies like us who majorly depend on oil-based revenues. I think it's very important for us to realize that and to take the lead from here onwards.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Mr. Raghu, I'll make it as ladies first, so apologies. Ms. Rania, I'm interested to know, since your vast experience, commenting on the same question that I have asked on the integration of sustainability practices in organizations. You have seen a lot of sustainability reports, and as well, Yasmin mentioned about greenwashing. From your expertise, what is the major challenges that you have seen pop up all the time when it comes to reviewing these reports?
I will take you through the journey, how we have built up our regulation on green and sustainable finance. When this word start buzzing, green finance, greenwashing, sustainable finance, ESG, Central Bank of Oman started internal task force to identify what's green finance, what should we mandate the banks, and how we should move forward. So we have identified a green finance roadmap, and we have placed it to the higher management. Then when they approved the green finance roadmap, which consists not only internally for CBO, but for the financial institutions as well. So, for example, we have to integrate the policies and procedures for the Central Bank of Oman and for the licensees. And we have integrated in our business structure also in CBO. For example, the notes now,
the currency,
the cash,
the fiat money.
Yes. Yeah. The way how they was dimensioning it before, it's not like the way now.
In terms of biodegradable material?
Yeah. Okay. So now it's recycled and used by Dar al-Harafiyya to sell some gifts.
Amazing, that's wonderful. Yeah. So even on the material of the currency itself.
Yes, inside CBO, we are using soft energy. And we have also EV vehicles for CBO. We have EV station in CBO. So in CBO internally, we want to become a role model for the financial institutions that we are mandating the sustainability and green finance in our day-to-day operations. So in terms of investment, also CBO is investing in green bonds. And for the financial institutions, we have sent survey before we issue this detailed guideline. We have sent the survey in 2022 to know the level of understanding. You know, this is new field. So we want to make sure that the banks are understanding the green finance in a way that eliminate the greenwashing, which Yasmin talked about. So when we send the detailed survey to the banks, we have realized that not all the banks have the same level of understanding.
For the implementation of policies. Okay, wonderful.
And what is green finance? So when we receive the feedback and we analyze it, we sit with the banks, and then we have come up with the draft regulation, and we have updated our roadmap accordingly. And then also we sit with the banks, we send the circular through Oman Bank Association to see what they can implement and what they cannot implement. Also for the listed banks, they will have another disclosure requirement from MSX and from FSA. So we want to be aligned. Then we have come up with the regulation BM 12.8 in October 2024. It will be, as Eiman rightly mentioned, phased approach. This year we expect the banks to submit the plan by end of June, their plan for the green finance. And next year, some of the requirement of the circular will be mandatory. And that's it.
Such a nice strategy to be a role model and then promote sustainability to other institutions. Since you've done it and you've seen as well how it is important for you to do the strategy in short term and then in the long term. So this is the some voluntary disclosures and some mandatory disclosures at the moment. Now let's do
a phased approach. It have 3 phases.
3 phases.
Yes.
Wonderful. And the framework is available for anybody to just
it's available
download.
on the CBO website.
Wonderful. So coming back to the tech. Now this is quite interesting. You have a research paper to prove it anyway, Mr. Rafi. So how can digital transformation contribute to achieving sustainability goals in the financial sector? I have seen an Indian company that is tracing the source of milk through having tags to cows. So that is in supply chain management. And it's wonderful because they're using blockchain technology. And we would like to know how the financial sector can do that.
Yeah, it's a privilege for me to be in this panel. Indeed, we have had very interesting sessions since morning on sustainability, various initiatives being taken by the banks in Oman, what exactly the government is doing. Before I just would talk about how digital transformation could help green transition, it's absolutely essential for us to keep in mind, since most of you are from the banking sector, many of you are also from the financial services sector here in Oman, and have been on the board of a large nationalized bank in India, the Indian Overseas Bank. For a period of 3 years, I was a director of the bank. What I personally feel is that financial institutions and banks can play a very big role in trying to see how best they can support various organizations to achieve their sustainability goals. When we talk about sustainability goals, we have seen various speakers since morning talk about what sustainability could be, and this could vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. What is sustainable maybe in a country like Oman would be different from what is initiative that is popular in India. It could be zero hunger, that could be a sustainable goal. Quality education, then gender equality, clean water, sanitation, clean energy, and then climate action. We had a speaker speaking about climate action initiatives in Oman. So what is important is that each jurisdiction will have their own sustainability goals. And as banks and financial institutions, we need to understand that and try to support organizations which are pursuing these goals. And today, the kind of transformation we are seeing, digital transformation we are seeing around the world, the way the trade and commerce is changing, the way digital tools are being used, even for sustainability, projects, it's very easy for us to, ensure that we have a real-time mapping of ESG analysis. We could do a real-time mapping of what's happening on the ESG front using artificial intelligence. Today, 65% of the Tier 1 global banks have integrated AI so that they're able to map, their customers well, and they're able to take quick decisions that will help them to fund the projects in a fast track mode. Blockchain has helped a big way for the issuance of green bonds. Many banks are issuing green bonds in India, around the world. Blockchain helps banks to issue these green bonds very efficiently. They can track ESG compliance also. When we talk about carbon footprint tracking also, companies have created softwares, internal softwares. In India, we find many corporates have their own software that can track what is the carbon footprint the organization is having. As a result of which, digitization of all these ESG metrics plays a very important role. And in a bank like SBI, State Bank of India is the largest public sector bank in India. AI has been effectively used to map the sustainability practices of various organizations so that they can fund them. And in addition to this, we also find that, digital transformation today, it is possible for you to, trade on the stock market using a mobile app. Similarly, if I want to invest in some green projects with a mobile app, it's possible for me to, invest partially. And today what is happening is the concept of tokenization of assets, wherein it allows fractional ownership. Let us say I am very much impressed with the project, sustainable project in Oman, and I would like to invest, let us say $1,000. That's possible with a mobile app, an app that can say, if you're interested, you please download this app and you can start investing, have a fractional ownership. So what is really happening today is that digital transformation is helping banks, financial institutions to identify investors. It could be institutional investors, retail investors. And in India, if you look at what's happening in the Indian Overseas Bank, where I was a director, a lot of importance was given for education. We were able to map the segments where support was needed. And today we find that institutions like HDFC, one of the largest private sector bank, is helping women also, women empowerment. Using AI tools, they're able to find out which segment of the country, because India is a large country, requires support for women. And even companies like ICICI Bank is supporting solar and wind energy projects, because solar and wind energy projects happens in certain parts of the country. So digitization is helping a lot. Digital transformation, both AI, then blockchain, is helping banks and financial institutions to make the right decisions quickly. Wonderful. So I feel, it's evolving, and the way forward I see a whole lot of, use of technology to help the banks and financial institutions to take quick decisions to fund projects in the area of sustainability.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Raghu, for pointing out the role of technology. And of course, Oman is an SDG signatory. We are also bound by the Sustainable Development Goals, which include as well decent growth and economic status, and as well zero hunger, as you have mentioned. Going back to Yasmin, since there was a lot of discussion since morning about our role as financial institutions, how can we collaborate with policymakers to ensure that we are fostering innovation in sustainable finance specifically, and to overcome some of the challenges that you have mentioned?
I think I go back to one of the earlier speakers where they mentioned that everything has got to be profitable. Nothing comes for free. Again, we have this notion that sustainable finance or green bonds are going to cost you less. Actually, they started off that way, but now the premium, or so-called greenium, has absolutely disappeared. And people in Europe wouldn't mind, because they had their allocations. They had to allocate capital, and regulators demanded that they allocate to these sectors. So they wouldn't mind paying that additional bit. But now, capital is scarce, and we come down to, we need to have a benefit for every cent that you do. And I don't think banks are wrong in trying to be profitable for their shareholders, and that's where I think where the Central Bank of Oman's role comes into play. So I think financial institutions or banks, as well as investors, can play a big role in determining what drives them and what will incentivize them to allocate to these projects. So that's one. This feedback is very important to be given to CBO, so that they could draft incentives that would make banks, that would incentivize them. For instance, you could have subsidies, or I could have plans for SMEs where I could give them cash subsidies, or for that matter, if they availed of certain milestones or did certain things over a certain period of time, I could give them a reduction in the rates that were being charged. Again, this is also called blended financing, where the public sector as well as the private sector, and this is supposed to be a proven strategy where it's actually working. So I think first and foremost we need to make it attractive for the private sector to be able to do it. Secondly, we need to have bankable, innovative projects. I think Bill Gates is very, very famous. I think everybody in the room would probably know him. He has started a venture called Breakthrough Energy Ventures. Now, what does Breakthrough Energy Ventures do? It actually identifies the 5 most polluting industries. So be it construction, be it agriculture, be it transportation, be it energy, and he finds breakthrough innovative technologies and he backs them. So again, if you manage to get onto their websites and go through these companies, there are some amazing stories out there. So I think we need to take some lead in terms of innovation and encourage that at our level, at the SME level, to make sure that the projects that we get into are bankable and promise a return elsewhere. Again, I really wouldn't think there is any social capital. Governments are strapped for finance right now, so you can't expect the governments also to be. So it's got to be a win-win situation, and we need to be innovative enough to come forward with these solutions.
Thank you, Yasmin. In fact, I'll bounce back to the regulator, because I know that most of the policies written on sustainability at the moment are very corporate level. Is there any policies that encourage, incentivize SMEs at the moment, or is there a plan in the future that SMEs are included? Of course, here, Rania, I'm not saying, because you know the challenges of SMEs at the moment to sustain themselves. Now imagine a regulator comes in and tells them, oh no, you can't operate without a solar panel. Or no, you have to do all no plastic. As one of the speakers came today in the morning, and he pointed out on the use of extra plastics. So he will say, oh my God, now the regulator is telling me I need to do so and so and so and so. Of course, he will need incentives. If it's possible that you clarify this point, since it is mentioned by Yasmin, and we are interested to know how, the level-wise. So you start at corporate level, and the SME, is it included in the argument, mix-up policies, or at the moment?
I didn't understand your
the level of policies are written for corporate entities at the moment, like banks, financial institutions.
Yes.
Is SMEs included in the policies?
We don't regulate SMEs. As the Central Bank of Oman, we don't regulate SMEs.
So it is not included at all, meaning at the moment. At the moment. Okay, so
for our financial institutions that are licensed by CBO.
So at the moment, that's the answer to your question, because I do believe in SMEs, and they are part of my research actually, and they are main polluters. So I guess we'll see that in the future, inshallah. So Rania, then is it okay to mention a little bit on the policies that incentivize the corporate sector to do more sustainable practices within their entities, like banks?
You mean for our instructions now is only for banks?
For banks.
Yes, for banks.
Can you highlight a bit on the incentives given to banks so they can go green?
There is no incentives.
No incentives.
For now, there is no incentives for banks.
So more into the risk.
But I think for this topic, for the green finance, we should collaborate as a country as a whole.
Absolutely.
Banks should know where is the sector they have to lend. Now we have sent before 2 months sectoral lending. So one of the for the banks to focus on and to lend, one of the sector was the renewable energy.
Yes.
So Oman Vision 2040 and other related stakeholders have to identify where the opportunities for the bank to be, where to lend for this sector, for the green finance. And also I think that awareness is very important at this point for the banks and for the corporate as well, to know where they should place their funds. Also building capacity is very important. Unless people understand what's green finance and where should they allocate the funds, it will not be successful.
That's amazing. So at the moment,
so as a Central Bank of Oman, we are building capacity for the Central Bank of Oman and for the sector.
For the public in general?
No, for the sector,
for the financial
for the licenses.
Sector.
Yes.
Okay. So what changes you think it can be amended to encourage further implementation?
We have to wait and to see the plans which we expect banks to submit by June 2025. And then we have to analyze and see where the gaps is.
Okay, thank you so much. Welcome. So next, Mr. Raghu, of course, on technology, we would like to know how can further technology enhance the sustainability practices. You mentioned blockchain, and you mentioned as well the use of different technologies, applications, and whatnot. How can we ensure that the financial institutions in general are following these practices with the support of further enhancements of technology?
I think the banks and financial institutions should start working with technology companies, because they will be able to help you to build the required framework for mapping the ESG matrices. What really happens is, most of the speakers said this morning that each of the organizations have goals, but this has to be mapped. You need a technology platform. So what is really important is that when we look at ESG analytics, basically it's a satellite-based ESG scoring, wherein the various products that are given by the bank are linked to the performance of the various initiatives taken by the company towards sustainability. So analytics plays a very important role, and most of the organizations have their own software built in to map the ESG performances. Smart lending. Smart lending is something like real-time data from sensors and satellites allows banks to disburse loans on the environmental outcomes, so that they don't miss out on anything. So this is smart lending. Let us say a bank wants to lend to the solar energy sector or the windmill sector. They're able to collect data using satellites and sensors to find out whether this particular sector is doing well. Then what is emerging is crowdfunding also. Many countries have started raising funds through investors. As I was telling you, if I want to invest in a particular project, there could be a concept of crowdfunding where I could decide to invest maybe $1,000 or $2,000. That's gaining ground. If you look at India, India has a platform known as Arya.ag, which partners with the leading private sector banks, wherein real-time crop data is used to disperse green agricultural loans, as a result of which the rate of agricultural defaults are coming down. So what is happening is a lot of technology is being used to map information about the success of various crops. And today the global green bonds have crossed almost more than $1 trillion in 2024. And I was also reading that Oman's first sovereign green bond framework shows the growing appetite in the Gulf for the green bonds. And in a country like India, more than $20 billion have been given in the form of green bonds, that is to raise funds. And SEBI also has mandated that all the companies should, which are investing in mutual funds, should rate the ESG rating. And we find that all the banks today are also funding carbon climate resilient infrastructure. So what is happening is a lot of technologies are available. It's artificial intelligence, blockchain, sensors, and then satellites. We are able to get data on multiple fronts that will help banks and financial institutions to make the right decisions. Whereas if you look at India, they've started funding heavily the EV segment. you come to India, you find that a whole lot of electric cars, electrical two-wheelers are being funded. Concessional rate of interest is being provided. Agri-tech platforms are also in great demand. And today we find that the government is supporting rural electrification, solar microgrid startups, and a whole lot of new things are being funded by the government. So basically what really happens is they are able to understand that the country is moving towards renewable energy, and they're able to understand what is the extent of investment that's happening in renewable energy and support these projects.
Wonderful. That's really good initiatives for the Indian government. Yasmin, I need to ask you this question. You know that Trump has visited this area, and you know his views about sustainability. I think if he was put in one room with Jeffrey Sachs, that will not exist because of two opposing groups, one pro-sustainability and the other disregard. How it will shape the way forward, specifically that he's visiting economies that are dependent on fossil fuel?
Yes. I think some of the data that has flown in, basically when Donald Trump happened to the world, ESG has taken a back seat. Erstwhile banks, asset managers, especially in the US, they have come out of the net zero. Like BlackRock is one of the biggest asset managers in the world, has withdrawn from the net zero asset managers list. This just goes to show you the commitment, or it signals the US, particularly the US companies. There have been 6 US banks, including the likes of JP Morgan, the big US banks, who have actually withdrawn from the Net Zero Banking Alliance. This just is indicative of trouble in the US in the sense, do they have the momentum that was there earlier? Sadly, no. But has Europe also followed suit? No. I think Europe continues its march because it's more cognizant of the fact that the planet does need to have some changes. Of course, the war with Ukraine has delayed those aspirations, but nevertheless, you don't see European banks getting off. The speed has probably slowed a bit, because when you look at volumes, when you look at flows, investment flows, you do see that now, particularly for green bond issuances, I think it forms about 2% of the total issuances in the world is green bond. So we've got a long way to go. And I think Europe, the way that it is progressing, of course, in terms of regulation, the recent one being with UK actually addressing the sustainability disclosure requirements, where now they have 4 categories: sustainable focus, sustainable impact, sustainable mixed. So these kind of things are going to give investors the confidence that these are being measured and reported correctly. For instance, even a firm like Shell was penalized because it had misquoted the amount of renewable investments. So they took them to task. But I don't see the pedal coming off with Europe, but the US definitely has slowed down.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Rania, as a regulator, do you foresee in future, if there is any financial institution in Oman who would like to start with the sketch, the strategy for sustainability, that one day, if they did not start this from now, if they don't start it from now, there will be a day in which you'll penalize them for giving a loan for a retail or a corporate customer for investing in a land which is wadi prone. You know that we have this, Oman, the most environmental threat to us at the moment is the wadis. Of course, everybody's going to ask me what you're talking about, Dr. Fatin. Have you seen the weather lately? But this is the deprivation of water and then pour in the rain, and we are not really understanding the effect and impact of existence of wadis in Oman. So do you see that this will happen in future probably? And if yes, what is your advice for that financial institution who is not thinking about embedding sustainability practices at the moment? I know it is mandatory. Some of the practices you have to disclose, and placed in your ESG and sustainability reports, but some of them not included as a whole because you're doing in phases as you have explained. So I would like to hear your views on this.
Yes, voluntary disclosure was introduced, but from December 2026, the disclosure will be mandatory.
So if you are not prepared, get ready.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And by 2030, it will be mandatory from FSA as well.
For listed companies.
Yes.
So there is no escape plan.
Yeah.
You
All local banks are listed companies. So they have disclosure from Central Bank of Oman mandatory by 2026 and another disclosure by MSX and MSM and FSA by 2030.
Okay. What if somebody challenged us today and he said, you know, my cash flow is not working and my annual training plan is only for my annual end of year reporting says it's only 1 year and you know, it's a lot of work for me to do. I mean, this is like ringing the bells at the moment for all the financial institutions. What would you advise that financial institution to do from now to mitigate that risk in future?
To start from now.
Create the impact.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I think that sums it up.
Because this was from 2022, we have communicated to the banks that this will happen. And we have many forums which we have communicated to the banks about the sustainability and the green finance and ESG disclosure. We have communicated to the banks long back, and we have done awareness workshop with the banks. And we have Istidama also. Istidama have done so many programs related to green finance and where the banks was invited as well.
True. Thank you so much, Rania. I think because of the benefit of the time and the fact that we are the last session, I'll just ask rapid questions if you don't mind. So I'll ask you all this question. Sustainability in one word. Mr. Agu?
I think sustainability is trying to see how best we can contribute to the environment, make the world a better place to live.
What about one word? One word.
All of us should practice it religiously.
Okay, practice. Religiously, I'll take 2 words. Okay, religiously. Yasmin is?
I think it's trust.
Trust.
Yes.
Wonderful. Rania? Wise. Great. Is sustainability overrated?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Yasmin?
I think some concepts are.
Such as?
Such as carbon tax. I think when I look at carbon tax, it's basically incentivizes me to do bad things as long as I pay the tax. So I think it's highly overrated.
Okay, what about materiality?
Double materiality, yes. But I think double materiality gives you accountability. Okay. So I would agree with that. But in terms of, I really am not a proponent for carbon tax.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Rania?
For a carbon-related economy, I think it's, yes, overrated.
Overrated, okay. A book or podcast you would recommend the audience?
I think talking about a book on sustainability, I've read a book on Net Positive by Paul and Andrew Winston, which talks about challenges leaders have to undergo before they start introducing ESGs in their companies. There's one more on Climate Capitalism Playbook written by Akshat Rathi. It's an action-oriented book with a lot of case studies on sustainability, and these are 2 books which I could say. Podcast, one podcast, very interesting podcast, Sustainability Leaders by BMO Global Asset Management, and Conversation with Corporate Leaders on Sustainability Development by Gulf Green Vision. I think these 2 are very interesting podcasts.
Wonderful. Yasmin, any book?
I don't think I have read books on sustainability.
It's a new topic.
Yes, I think it's an evolving topic and it keeps changing. It's interesting to see how it is evolving.
Do you have any advice for the youth then who would like to practice sustainability? Maybe the Omani Greta Thunberg one day? But
Yes,
smile, don't you dare to be not stingy with people.
I think the message for the youth would be to invest today, to build a world which will be much better for you tomorrow. I mean, I'd rather leave a world which is livable. I mean, we've come to that extent that we need to leave something for them to enjoy.
Wonderful, thank you. Any advice for the youth?
For the youth or for the book?
You want to share? Go ahead.
Book, no, but as a regulator, you should read the technical paper by IMF, the one Eiman have mentioned in her presentation.
Great.
And also we have published as a Central Bank of Oman one paper for green, and you can read our circular as well.
Read our circulars. That's a very nice one, Rania. Thank you so much. And any advice for the youth, Rania?
To keep reading.
Keep reading.
And invest, as Yasmin truly mentioned, invest in themselves and for the future.
Thank you so much. A lot of takeaways we have taken from this session. We had a tech expert who told us, and a research paper that proves that tech is enhanced in sustainability. We had a chartered financial analyst who speaks a lot about investing in sustainability, and it has longer term benefits in future. And we have the regulator. I would like to open the for questions, the audience for questions. I know that probably some of you have burning questions, and I can see somebody really, but no cash flows, huh? Promise? Okay, go ahead. Can you state your name? I'm sure everybody knows, but I need to recollect. And also the question that you would like to address to one of the panel members. And keep it crisp and sweet.
My name is Ritesh. I'm an Indian chartered accountant in Oman for over 2 decades now. My question is, technically I cannot assign to anyone singly. Okay. My question is on the panel discussion topic, role of financial institutions. What is the interpretation of financial institution? Are you only saying banks, or are you saying banks and insurance companies and sovereign wealth funds and investment holding companies? Because the only one who is regulated is the banks. Insurance is there, but from a FSA perspective. What about setting the limits? Sorry, I'm coming to same cash, but the whole idea is, because the topic was role of financial institutions. To be very frank, I'm very happy with what our regulator is doing. To just add upon what my sister was saying from a CBO perspective, when they issued the circular in October 2024, first phase they made it mandatory on that very day. They mentioned there should not be any misleading communication by banks. So if you are saying I am financing to this much amount of green financing, then give the percentage of total book so people are not misled. So they made it mandatory, effective on the date of issue of the circular. And from SME perspective, there are a lot of circulars supporting SMEs, restructuring opportunities, lot of things. So in my view, everyone considers it is only bank has to do. What about other stakeholders? Sorry, getting back to cash flow.
Well, we have to look at the profitability, ROE and ROA at the end of the year. This is a very interesting question. He feels that the banks are heavily burdened with the disclosures, not the other sectors. Is it because it's a new science and we are, in fact, sustainability is quite new. It's only 25 years ago that they have discovered that we're doing harm for the environment. So Yasmin, I see that you're enthusiastic and you would like to answer this question. Go ahead.
I think when we come back to who are the stewards of capital, banks are one. These are the pools of capital that would be able to finance these ventures. The others are, let's say, who invests in green bonds or sustainability-linked loans. You have investors or projects which are seeking these funds. It can be a corporate, like Oman LNG might be able to issue a green bond, or it can be anybody else who has a project which needs this kind of funding. So who are the stewards of capital? So in your definition, alongside banks, it can be insurance companies, it can be sovereign funds, it can be, pension funds. But all of them, I think even sovereign funds and pension funds to that extent, need to protect capital for the future generations. And it's got to make sense for them to deploy capital. Of course, to a certain extent, you can say that, you know, this is a requisite and it needs to be done and it's urgent and it involves the planet and all those considerations. But yes, formulating policies which are attractive enough to fund these ventures or these projects, all in good measure, I think all of these are pools of capital that you can tap, and all of these are financial institutions.
To just add up on that, so in the financial institutions, my understanding is sovereign, investment holding company, insurance companies all come into picture, pension funds. But since there's no regulation on investment holding company, so proactively, like Norwegian sovereign funds, there's no regulator on them. But in their, specifically the policies, they've set out, no one is asking to give charity. Bankable, so basically when a financial institution is coming with a ESG bond, there should be mandate, so investment holding company should have a mandate in their own policy.
But I think to your question, the world is changing very rapidly.
Right.
Now, when you look at the Norwegian pension fund, it's probably one of the most efficient or the most profitable pension funds in the world. And that also happens to be because it's seen a period of exceedingly low interest rates when it was funding these projects. So the cost of capital was very, very low. But come dial down to today, every penny counts and your cost of capital is only going to increase. The premium or the risk premium that you're going to allocate is only going to be enhanced. So in this situation, the solution that you would come up with is that, you know, the project, as I told you, the greeniums have vanished. So you need to have commercially viable projects. Of course, you can have several things like you have mini perm loans, or you can have staple financing, or you can have, which incentivizes institutions to get into the fray. But at the end of it all, it's all make money. Maybe a little less, but make money.
Yeah, so making money, fine. But there should be a direction set. So direction will set through policy or procedure framework of those entities which are not regulated by Central Bank of Oman, right? With all due regards, Central Bank of Oman and banking sector is doing the job which they can do. So what happens is, when we only consider financial institution as a bank, everyone starts pointing on banks. My whole contention has been, it's not a one-person job, it's a full society's job. We are the other stewards of society. They should set up their policies. No one is asking charity. You do due diligence, but you make it mandatory that you will start pointing on the KPI. Oman Vision 2040, 2030 has been set for a long time. So my question is, like those other companies, other basic sovereign funds outside the GCC have some specific criteria set. So minimum 10% into this category of bond, green bond or something. Regulatory itself is saying, if a bank is going to give a misleading, I will levy a penalty. So the risk is very less for an investment community. So probably they should start migrating of putting across some thresholds in their own policy frameworks, because they are not regulated, saying, okay, 5, 10%. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Thank you so much. You know, we'll have a lunch break. You can discuss at leisure. I would like to have a question from one of the youths over here, if it's possible. Any, you know, expectations, anything for future? Over there, I see.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to say something before. I think this is interconnected, and as Dr. Fatin previously mentioned, it's a matter of human survival at the end. So let's start from banks or regulators' point of view. I think this should be collaborative effort, as many of you mentioned before, not only by financial regulators only, but Ministry of Interior. I think municipality sector should assess these ventures, whether they implement or comply with the green banking and sustainability, and environment authority as well. While banks, conventional banks and financial institutions, from my point of view, should bring environmental experts to assess guaranteeing the facilities, not assess the companies after guaranteeing the facilities. And this should be the rule of Ministry of Interior, as I said, municipality, and Environment Authority also. Or Oman Royal Police for those who take loans for second-hand cars and so on. Also, I think, as somebody mentioned, I think previously, increasing the interest rates for customers will affect the customer's satisfaction, which will be adversely reflected to financial institutions by getting more complaints by customers, which might affect also the asset quality of banks. Maybe this will increase the non-performing assets. So I think maybe regulators should give incentive for those who apply sustainable finance and green banking by giving this exemption for projects that are let's say green ventures, yeah, and net zero, by exempting it from tax.
Okay, thank you so much. What's your good name?
Amin.
Amina?
Yes,
Amina,
Amina.
this was not a question, that's a view, right?
Yeah.
So shall I just consider that the regulator is taking your note? And I was hoping that this is a policy recommendation, but I guess that hearing your views is really good. No question, right? So, okay, can we have a last question before we wrap up the session? No questions?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. I have 2 recommendations in books and a series, if it's possible. The Sustainable State by Nair, Dr. Nair, his name. Very good book. And there is Breaking Boundaries, The Science of Our Planet. These are, it's a documentary available in Netflix. If you would like to watch it, it's really wonderful. It made me tear a bit because there are animals which are going extinct. And there is a bumblebee in UK in the 90s, extinct. They had to actually borrow from Sweden the bumblebee to come and regenerate, go around. And the bumblebee especially is written in our holy book. It has a very beautiful function. And maybe the youth, if I can give you a challenge, if you allow me.
Yeah, sure.
Can you become a vegetarian for a week? Only 1 week, okay? Vegetarian for 1 week, okay? And if you avoid the plastic, these are nice Stanleys, if it's expensive, go to Mimoso, 4 riyals only. And instead of carrying the bottle, the plastic bottle, because there is all responsibility from all of us. So if it's corporate, SMEs, I never see the mishkak stand the same anymore because a lot of carbon. And the plastics, you can do this. Just make it a habit that you carry your water bottle with you. Apologies for taking so much of your time, but I'm sure that we'll network within the lunch, inshallah. Thank you so much, all of you, really. Thank you.
So, thank you, Dr. Fatan. Thank you to all the esteemed panelists for the insightful discussion. Yeah, we actually have one more memento. So I would like to request Mr. Haytham Raisi, the president of ACFE Oman chapter, to kindly facilitate the memento to Ms. Rania Zajjari from CBO. I would like to invite Sia Badri, treasurer of ICAI Oman chapter, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we come the close of this impactful event, Sustainable Finance and Green Banking, It's my honor and privilege to extend the vote of thanks to all the stakeholders who are behind this to make this event grand success, and also extend there are a few people who have patiently hearing, including the audience, from morning 8 o'clock to this time now. My first and foremost, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Dean of College, CBFS, Dr. Zahran. With his guidance, we have been working since last 15 to 20 days to mark this event as a very grand success. And also I extend my gratitude to all the president of the sponsored chapter of CBFS, ICAI of course, Oman chapter, then ISACA Oman chapter, IIA Oman chapter, ACFE Oman chapter, CFA Oman chapter, and ACI Oman chapter. A special thanks to all our speakers and moderator of this event. This definitely their insightful thoughts and sharing the expertise on today's topic have definitely enlightened to us in a great way. I thank each one of you for sparing your valuable time and sharing the knowledge with all the attendees present here. To our audience, both in person and virtually, those who have attended through our YouTube link, which we had shared in various social media platforms, we thank for watching the entire session. Thank you once again.